ABC Sport Digital Radio, your home of cricket.
ABC News with Miriam McDonald. Good afternoon. Victorian health officials say they're concerned about a growing COVID-19 clusters in Shepparton, as well as outbreaks at the Royal Melbourne Hospital and in Hobsons Bay. 65 locally acquired cases were reported today, which includes 21 linked to Shepparton and a new case emerging at Mansfield in Victoria's High Country. Just 12 of the new cases were isolating for their entire infectious period, and there are 10 mystery cases. There are now 27 people in hospital with COVID-19, which includes 12 in intensive care. Victoria's Deputy Secretary Kate Matson says the outbreak at the Royal Melbourne Hospital started after a patient underwent surgery and then developed COVID symptoms.
In the cases announced today, there are 3 cases related to the Royal Melbourne Hospital outbreak. There was a case yesterday, and we'll be announcing a further 3 cases tomorrow related to Royal Melbourne. We expect that outbreak to grow, just as we expect the Shepparton outbreak to grow.
The Victorian Government has announced measures to enable all public sector employees to have half a day's paid time off for each dose of the vaccine they receive. The payments are available for appointments for both first and second doses of a vaccine and apply to full-time, part-time and long-term casual staff. Health Minister Martin Foley says there will also be another vaccination blitz in the aged care sector starting from Monday.
Residential aged care and disability workers will be able to walk up in one of more than 50 vaccination centres that the state runs across Victoria and to get vaccinated with the vaccine of their choice, regardless of their age.
And Victoria's Jobs Minister Martin Pakula says more support is on the way for those businesses affected by the pandemic.
I'm announcing an additional $146.6 million to support up to 20,000 additional regional businesses through both the Business Cost Assistance Program and the Licensed Hospitality Venue Fund, and another round of support payments for alpine businesses.
Meanwhile, the Victoria Police Chief Commissioner has described yesterday's anti-lockdown protests in Melbourne as totally unacceptable. 9 police officers were injured and more than 250 people were arrested and fined after protesters clashed with police in the CBD. Chief Commissioner Shane Patton has condemned the behaviour.
The vast majority, by and large, were men, 25 to 40, angry men who came in with intent to cause trouble, to confront and to attack police.
Another 3 people have died from coronavirus in New South Wales, including a man in his 60s, as that state records 830 new cases. Danuta Kozaki reports.
Dr Mary-Ann Gale from New South Wales Health says there are 557 cases in hospital, with 94 people in intensive care. 83 aren't vaccinated and the remainder have had 1 dose. She says 2 of the 3 deaths today acquired their infection in hospital.
A man in his 60s from southwestern Sydney who passed away at Royal Prince Alfred Hospital. He acquired his infection at Canterbury Hospital.
She says while the main suburbs are in Sydney's southwest and west, there's a concerning rise in orange in the state's central west, with 4 more cases after the official 8 p.m. cut-off.
The Prime Minister says Australia is still trying to evacuate as many people as possible from Afghanistan. Scott Morrison has revealed more than 300 people were picked up on 4 flights from Kabul overnight. He says as well as evacuating its own citizens and Afghan visa holders, Australia is helping to rescue people from countries such as the United States.
As best as we can communicate in what is a very chaotic environment, with comms under constant pressure and a very chaotic scene outside the airport, then we continue to make that communication and get as many people through as we possibly can in the time we have available as safely as we can.
Residents on the US East Coast have been urged to prepare for one of the most powerful storms in years. Hurricane Henri, which has strengthened from a tropical storm, is expected to hit New York's Long Island and southern parts of New England on Sunday, affecting around 6 million people. A state of emergency has been declared in parts of New York State. To the weather now, there's a severe weather warning for damaging winds for parts of East Gippsland, the northeast and west and south Gippsland districts. For the state, mostly sunny in the north, though becoming cloudy in the west later. A mild to warm and generally dry day today, apart from isolated light showers about the northeast ranges. Widespread showers and isolated gusty thunderstorms extending over western districts in the late afternoon. For Melbourne, a sunny day with the slight chance of a shower later tonight, atop the day of 21 degrees. Tomorrow, showers 14, Tuesday a shower or 2 and 13. It's currently 19 degrees. ABC News.
When history is made,
over the boundary it goes, and New Zealand are the World Test champions.
ABC Sport is there.
Lamb away from one, gets it away to Willow Power. Now I've seen it. Now I've seen a six-bar. Josh Shadow carved it again.
Commercial free.
Bolton! Oh, wow. Up he goes! A hanger in the goal square.
ABC Sport. On radio, online, and on the ABC Listen app.
ABC Sport. AFL.
Gets set for the deafening roar. The pent-up emotion is about to flow. Listen to the crowd roar.
AFL.
Fans are on their feet. Can't believe what they're about to see.
The 2021 AFL Premiership Season. Grandstand AFL.
We've got a game on our hands here. This is really good, fierce stuff.
This is a fantastic game of football. Someone told me there was something wrong with our game. I can't see it today. Actually, it's a spectacular contest.
Dreamers, keep on dreaming. Oh, the impossible angle.
Sinners, keep on sinning.
Don't go anywhere. The theatre of it all.
Winners, keep on winning.
And he dribbles one through and blows a kiss to the crowd.
It's a new day beginning.
Breaks the paint, has a shot, makes no mistake.
Sends it to home, a sublime strike.
Hard against the boundary, that's a classy finish. That is sensational. Can he slide it through for the finish? Yes, he can. Wide angle on the paint of 50. May have just snuffed through an incredible goal. Tries to fend off, got him, takes him to ground. Back to that Louis, second don't argue. Go to your best players, go to your match winners. Plays on, man down from behind, holding the ball. Perfect tackle. It might be a game saver.
Dreamers, keep on dreaming.
Ricochets to Martin, you know the rest. A razzle dazzle has arrived.
That is spectacular.
It's a new day, new day, new day beginning.
Osborne kicks the goal. Welcome to the big time. Oh, great mark. Outside of the boot, Eddie. Oh, he has kicked it. Makes no mistake. Goes back. Straightens up towards goal and brings it back superbly. Here's that familiar roar. Double fist salute to the crowd. They might have a new fan favourite. He'll snap. He'll go. A ripper from Gripper. Snaps off a single step and bends it through.
Grandstand AFL. The 2021 AFL Premiership Season.
Dribbles it through and ends the game.
On ABC Radio and on ABC Sport Digital.
It has been spectacular and thrilling, round 23, and will the extraordinary scenes continue in Hobart this afternoon? The Fremantle Dockers remain in finals contention. The bit they can control is their performance against St Kilda. If they win, they'll be in the 8, and then they face that nervous wait as Essendon looks to win back that spot against Collingwood this afternoon. It's an overcast day in Hobart. There's one late change for Fremantle, which raise a few eyebrows. It's Adam Chera, who's out with a corked thigh. He did sustain a corky in the match last week, that memorable win in the Derby over West Coast. He hasn't come up and won't be playing, and obviously uncertainty surrounding his future at the Dockers. Blake Acres comes in to play his 100th game. 75 of those games were with St Kilda. No late change for the Saints. Ryan Burns is the medical sub. Joel Webster is the medical sub. Weston is the medical sub for the Dockers. Alistair Nicholson to call the action alongside Joel Peterson this afternoon. G'day, Joel.
G'day, Al. We've been treated to some spectacular games so far in this round of footy to close out the home and away season. These two sides have never met in Hobart, but they have twice met in Tasmania before. We know all about Siren Gates. The two games that they have played in Tassie, one was in round 5 2006, Freo won by a point. The other in round 2 2005, St Kilda won by a point. So nothing separating them as far as games in Tassie go. Let's hope we get a similar contest today.
Well, if round 23, what we've seen so far, is a portent of what we're going to see this afternoon, then I would get yourself settled in for a bit of a tense
Siren Gate might be nothing.
Yes. I hope they've just made sure that the sirens at Bellerive are are working at maximum decibels today. Brett Delidio is with us, former Tiger and Giant. G'day, Litz.
Hello, Al. Good to be here again, mate. And as you said, Adam Chera out. It's very interesting. So when I pricked my ear, certainly when I heard that, and yeah, just be interesting to see how that plays out for the rest of this season trade period coming up. But interesting game. Fremantle still a chance. They can make the finals. They win well. But another thing that surprised me was Luke Dunstan being omitted. I thought his form's been pretty good. So is that another potential Saints player that might have played his last game? Jack Billings, another one that's been floated. Will he move on at the end of the year? But I'm probably leaning towards the Dockers just at the moment.
They've got so much to play for. Obviously, their destiny is not in their hands, but it is in terms of this match against St Kilda. So that's the bit that they can control. They've got to get the win to still be in contention and then hope that Collingwood could cause an upset at the MCG this afternoon. St Kilda champion Nathan Burke is with us here. G'day, Burkie.
Hello, Al, Joel, Brett. Good to be here. And isn't football great when teams try and win? We saw Melbourne try and win great football. We saw Brisbane try and win by a lot. That was great football. And Richmond figured out, hey, there's 5 minutes to go. Let's try and win this, and played some great football. So hopefully today we get two teams who are adamant that they want to win this last round.
Yeah, absolutely. Being at the MCG yesterday as well with the draw, that was an unbelievable experience. Alistair Clarkson, all his experiences in football, to have that be his last 30 seconds or so as coach of the Hawthorn Football Club. We'll wait and see where he might end up. How have you evaluated St Kilda's season? Obviously won the final last year against the Western Bulldogs. High expectations this year, and will miss the finals. What's your read on it, Berkey?
It's tough because some of the losses have had 111 points, I think it was, to Western Bulldogs and 86 points to the Tigers. So they've really capitulated at times. To me, there's a simple common denominator for the Saints. If they realise they're not very good and they focus on intense pressure and contest, well then they become actually a pretty good team. When they think they're a good team and just try to get by on their skills without bringing that pressure, they're a terrible team. So it's a bit of an easy fix, and it's above the shoulders with St Kilda, and they've got to realise that intense pressure and contest is their thing. And if they bring that thing every week, they'll win enough games to get into the finals. I like some of the young players coming through. I'm like you, a little bit surprised that Dunstan is out today. You look at his stats from when he's come back into the team, everything is above average for a midfielder. 25 possessions, 6 clearances. The only thing is 4.5 scoring involvements a game. That's average. Everything else is above average. Yet he's out of the side. So if we can read something into Adam Chera being out of the side, I think we can definitely read something into Luke Dunstan being out of the team.
Yeah, totally agree.
And David Mundy last week, wonderful for him to be able to equal Matthew Pavlich's games record at the Fremantle Dockers in a derby, but in Hobart today he breaks that record. He's going to be playing on next season. He's still averaging 25 possessions a game. Such a key. Well, what do you think?
I think his numbers stack up. I was doing my mid-season one. I had him in my mid-season one purely off the basis that he is so high in score involvements for a guy who plays majority midfield time. I think he was third in the comp behind Tex Walker at the time and someone else, but would you believe he was a full back in the team that I played in the under-18s way back in 2002 or 3, I think it was. Always had the beautiful kick and whatever else, but the way he's transformed himself into being one of the game's best midfielders is, mate, he just continues to roll around. I've asked him his secret, and I put it down to the career-saving boots that he's been wearing, the big chunky Asics that he wears week in, week out, but he said he puts it down to just being pretty relaxed and chilled out, I think. And mate, he's been a terrific player for a long time and still got another year on his contract,
which is fantastic, and become a great friend of ours on ABC Grandstand, AFL, doing some expert commentary as well. The final member of our team is down at ground level. David Flash Lithgow is with us. Flash, I did notice just a sprinkling, a dusting of snow on the top of Mount Wellington. Still, welcome to you. How are conditions?
G'day, Al. Good to hear your voice. Hi, guys. It has been a cold week, that's for sure, but it's actually quite mild today. There's a little bit of breeze around, which, as it always does, favouring the river end. But Berkey's certainly interesting with Luke Dunstan. Was down at the ground level a little earlier on, and certainly my understanding is he's a little bit more than filthy about that omission. So that's a really interesting one. Someone who's struggled to get in the side the last 12 months, and you felt like the last couple of months, had got himself back into their best team. Sounds like he's not very happy at all. So that's certainly an interesting one to play out. But it's a really good day for footy. Looking forward to it.
Thanks, Flash. David Lithgow at ground level. So David Mundy has pulled the players in for a pep talk. A pat on the head for Blake Acres in game 100. And Fremantle with business to attend to. Brett Delidio, Nathan Burke, how do you see it playing out today?
Well, as I said at the start, I think it's Fremantle, the team that have been playing some really good footy. I like what they do. And Burke, you made mention that St Kilda have just got to get back to roll the sleeves up, intensity, effort, pressure around the footy, and not get too far ahead of themselves and try and play sexy footy that's going to just break the game open. I think if they can do that, they're going to be well in with a shot. But I really have liked the way the Dockers have structured up, the way they've played all year for each other. Cherry's a big out. I think he adds to their midfield depth. But Dockers for mine just in another close one, Joel, I think, as you alluded to earlier, the two times they played down in.
Yeah, Max King being out for the Saints as well is an interesting one. So remember, he's going to be shouldering a fair load up there up forward. Expect Marshall to spend a fair bit of time up there as well. Saints for me by a point.
The Dockers need to go out and post a score and then wait. We're underway at Bellerive. Joel Peterson.
Marshall and Darcy, two of the best young rucks in the competition, go at it in the middle. Jones gets the opening kick for the Saints out to the broadcast side where it trickles out of play just forward of the wing for St Kilda, who kicked to the Church Street end to start us off. Fremantle, such promise throughout this season, depleted by injury. Stirring win in the Derby last week to keep their hopes alive. Darcy knocks it down in ruck. Marshall dives on the footy. Jones got it to McKenzie by hand. Retreats by hand to Hill. Cuts it inboard. Turnover. Hayden Young pounces on it for Fremantle.
Dishes off a hand pass to Aish in the long sleeves. He kicks towards the centre circle. That was not 15. Tabner gave it back to Aish. Aish kicks inside 50. Big clatter of bodies. Kenzie was Sinclair crashed into. Ball in the forward pocket. Tracy flicks it back infield for the Dockers, only momentarily. And over the boundary it goes, next to the left behind post, down at the Boone stand end of the ground, the southern stand at Bellerive Oval.
It looks like Banfield has got the job on Jack Steele.
Toss back into play. Steele's had another good year. Darcy took it out of the ruck, couldn't find a teammate with his handball. Umpires found a free kick and it will go to Jack Steele, who's getting that treatment. Kicks it out of the back pocket for the Saints.
Right on cue. Bailey Banfield, he's been good in that tagging role in the last couple of weeks. Probably earned himself a new contract off the back of his 5 games toward the latter end of the season. Steele found Higgins outside the defensive 50 for the Saints. Kicks to the wing on the hillside. Off the hands of Marshall, taken by Ross. Handball to Higgins, to Marshall, to Steele. From the scoreboard, now Crouch, centre wing outer side of the ground. Right foot kick, floats up toward half forward. Membry slid in, couldn't mark. Logue at the back for the Dockers. Handball back now in the line to Walker, who strolls across the defensive 50 with a couple of bounces. Kicks through the centre corridor. Webster couldn't take it. Akers there as well. Switkowski steals it for the Dockers. Off to Akers. Kicks to full forward. Meek goes up. Couldn't pull it in at the top of the square. He's now tackled by Caulfield in all kinds of truffle. And Caulfield able to win a free kick for the Saints. Meek really should have pulled in the mark. And an opportunity goes begging for the Dockers early.
Caulfield with the free kick. Next to the behind post in the right back pocket. Looks towards the eastern side of the ground, the hillside of Bellerive. Darcy couldn't take the mark and ball's taken over the boundary line for Fremantle by Tucker. A throw in. Centre wing outer side of the ground, no score through the opening couple of minutes. As the umpire throws it back into play. Marshall and Darcy. Marshall takes it out of the ruck. Darcy wrestles him to turf. And the umpire will call for another stoppage. Ball up 70 from goal.
Funny how some players still don't know that rule, that you're allowed to grab it out of the ruck and get tackled with it. They appeal for holding the ball, but it's not anymore.
Play on to advantage, Sarong. So good last week. Tumbles one inside the 50 through the hands of Sinclair in defensive 50 for the Saints. Caulfield came up with it. Handball ended up with Wilkie, who drives it outside the back arc. It's marked by Logue. In between the wing and half forward for the Dockers. Goes into the corridor, finds Ryan, who had a bit of work to do. Marked over the top of Sharman. Handball off to Henry. Low ball inside the 50. Tracy slid out, couldn't take it with him. Akers through one tackle, can't break the second. Caulfield got him as well. Nick Caulfield's everywhere inside the defensive 50 for the Saints and wins another free kick.
Off to Webster. Terrible kick, Webster. Straight to Ryan on the wing. He goes defensively. He missed Hayden Young with his kick, and then he tackles Membry without the ball. And it will be a ball up on the wing.
Bit of a sloppy
start. Stand side, yeah.
Sloppy start at the moment. The Saints are just bombing the ball down one end of the ground, and Freo had a couple of opportunities to score goals, but have blown them by bad skills.
Aish emerges from the stoppage. Hand pass to Switkowski. Off to Brayshaw. Brayshaw kicks to the outer wing. A bouncing ball that Pluckett takes possession of. Brayshaw kept on running, had a fine season, averaging 28 disposals, 9.5 more than in any other year. The kick went to Taberner. He dropped what he should have taken. Meeks now over it. Wilkie's got him. The umpire will ball it up 40 metres from goal. These have been slow burns games in this round. They haven't necessarily got going early, but they come in a rush late. Let's hope this is following the same suit.
Get some Grippo out for the talls of the Freo team. They should have had 2 goals by now.
Meek takes it, Darcy takes it to ground, his tackle.
You wear Grippo Berkey, did you? I was an advocate for it. Training games every time I was doing footy work.
A little bit.
All up inside defensive 50. Whitesell throws on the boot for the Saints into the centre of the ground. Marked by Walker for the Dockers. Chips it across the centre circles to Ryan. Then moves it forward to Collier. Called to play on. Handball back to Walker now. On the edge of the 50. Handball inside the arc to Aish. And now to Darcy. Kick smothered by Butler, who was coming past. Darcy goes to ground. Gets a handball away. Webster took it for the Saints. Tackled by Sarong. Goes back and gets it again. Webster. Handball to Higgins. Now to Hill. Now to Crouch. In the nick of time to Marshall. And on to Higgins as the Saints come through the middle of the ground.
Kicks towards half forward. A well-weighted pass out in front of Ross. Ross, a hand pass away. Sinclair assesses, kicks into the pocket. Membry over his head, Logue at the back. St Kilda come up with it. Sharman, little dink kick was dangerous and worked out well. Higgins to the top of the goal square, takes the mark directly in front. He's only 12 metres out.
Good work rate from Jack Higgins there. Started the chain at centre half back and worked his way all the way down. But tell you who I've liked this year for St Kilda is Jack Sinclair off half back. I think he's great. Was probably maligned just as a wingman, outside player, but to go back to half back has been very good.
Higgins kicks the opening goal of the game. He puts it into the chairman's stand at Bellerive. And the Saints, one straight, lead the Dockers yet to score. And we've played 6 minutes of the opening quarter on Grandstand AFL.
Yeah, Jack Higgins running then. He got the ball at centre half back and then getting the ball at the top of the goal square. So outstanding running. But you're right about Jack Sinclair. If I'm a betting man on their best and fairest, you'd have Jack Steele winning that one.
He's by a street.
By a street. But I reckon absolutely top 3, Jack Sinclair deserves to be in that range.
Had a very, very good year. Just not only does he run and carry and usually uses the ball, that was an exception. He's a little missed target there, but not too bad one-on-one either. Gets the job done more often than not. So doing very nicely down there, and a little find for the Saints.
And rolling with an absolutely splendid mullet as well, which really tops things off when you've got that kind of haircut to go with some really good form. Back in the middle, Meeks in there for the Dockers.
It's got to be a footy player to run it though, I think, Joel. I'm not sure it goes too well in the management game.
So you're making some kind of presentation, the clipboard out lids and rolling with the mullet. Still fighting for it in the middle from the secondary ball up. Crouch is there. Vitel trying to throw the handball out. Brayshaw got a clearing kick for the Dockers. High up and down toward left half forward. They charge out at it. Croden can't keep it in. It bounces out of play. It'll be thrown in. 65 out from the Dockers goal. They're yet to score. The Saints by one straight kick through 7 minutes of the opening term.
Zach Jones got a little errant poke in the eye from Meek in the middle of the ground. That's trying to shake off at the moment. From the stoppage, Brayshaw gives it off to Akers. Akers kicks into the forward pocket. Webster's well placed, goes up and takes the chest mark, opposed to Henry. Kilda in possession, looping hand pass through the goal square. Sinclair runs, a couple of bounces, kicks to the half-back flank. Mark taken by Hanbury. Goes to the defensive side of the wing, and Kent. Hanbury just playing his 15th game as a Saint, 3rd season. He's got another year on that contract and won't hit the 50-game clause to get to the 5th year. He goes to Membry at half forward, dished it off, Crouch inside the 50. No mark taken as Marshall came out in the left forward pocket. Ross slaps it back towards Steele. Steele is confronted by Watson. Banfield takes possession, uses it by hand, and Ryan will come out of the goal square for the Dockers.
Right foot kick out to the eastern side. Positioned in front was Darcy, who pulls in the mark. Left half back for Freo. Trail by one straight kick. Early stages at Bellreeve. Darcy kicks down the line. Tries to find Henry. Floats over his head. Webster right there with him. Good Tassie product, Al. Jimmy Webster.
He is a Brighton boy. Loves his golf. Loves getting into the countryside and doing a bit of fishing and other things.
Your sort of boy then, Al, no doubt.
You're right up your alley, Brett Deledio, I reckon.
Ball thrown in at left half forward for the Dockers. Meat goes in at ground level through the hands of Vitel. Taken by Banfield. Handball to Mundy along the boundary line at the junction of the 50 and the boundary. Kicks to full forward. Taberner with a couple to beat. Off hands to the behind line. Sinclair happy to see it bounce over for a rushed score for the Dockers. Their first of the game. They trail by 5. 9.5 minutes gone opening term.
Webster kicks in. Steele marks in the right back pocket.
Inside 50s are 8-2 in favour of Fremantle at this stage.
Steele to the outer wing on the hillside of the ground. No one could mark. Vitel comes up with it. Pushes the hand pass to Claverino. Kicks Kilda into the middle of the ground. It's taken at the back edge of the square by Membry. Membry out to the wing. Marshall didn't really come at the ball. Spoil was made. Hanbury Roves. His kick into the back of Marshall. Kent comes up with it. A hand pass to Marshall. A hand pass off Hunter. Top of the 50. Loops a hand pass into the pocket. Butler. A bounce. And a banana. No, he goes the left foot snap instead. Take your pick. Right result for the Saints. Butler snaps truly, and the Saints have the opening 2. Fremantle 1 behind. We've played 11 minutes.
Very good finish there by Dan Butler. He had the ball in the deep in the forward pocket and could have panicked a little bit, gone for the banana, but he just took some ground that was offered to him, got onto his left foot and put it through. So good support running there by St Kilda to get the ball from one end to the other. Wasn't perfectly pretty skills on the way through, but when you've got players running in support, you can actually afford to make a mistake or two and still come up with a goal. So good effort there by the Saints. 3 inside 50s for 2 goals.
Yeah, not too many people running down Dan Butler when he gets the goals in sight, that's for sure.
He hadn't kicked one for 3 games prior to today, so he's had a bit of a lean season, Butler.
Cooper Sharman got the ball on the half-back line. Doesn't get a lot of the footy for a young fella, but boy, he makes some great decisions with it. Great composure.
2 goals in each of his last 3 games. And a 2-year contract extension during the week too. As out of the middle, the Saints come out through Steele, who cuts a swathe through the pack, kicks to full forward. Sharman's in the pack, couldn't take it. Young there for the Dockers, almost run down. Handball away to Watson. Umpire's paid a free kick. It'll come back to Hayden Young. Such a promising talent in this Fremantle side. Guides his left foot kick to Griffin Logue. He's really started to get some continuity in his footy after an injury hit run in his first few years in the AFL. Logue to Mundy. Mundy to the back edge of the centre square to Collier. The speedy Docker takes off. A couple of bounces through the centre of the ground. Gets to the centre circles. Kicks low to half forward. Taberner pulls it in. Looks inside the 50. Pokes it to Croden, who's up and marking 45 metres out directly in front for the Dockers. He'll have a chance to go back and kick their first.
Really poor defence there by the Saints. They just let Freo take the ball up through the middle of the ground, and it looked like Saints were almost going a one-on-one style of defence, but they just let their individual player lead off them far too easily.
So Mitch Croden with 4 goals, 6 on the campaign. Kick on the way here, absolutely perfect. And he gets the Dockers on the board in a major sense. Fremantle 1-1-7, St Kilda 2 straight 12. We've played 13 minutes in the opening term on Grandstand AFL. Your experts are Nathan Burke and Brett Delidio.
Yeah, as you said, Burke, it's interesting defensive setup there from the Saints. Usually you've got someone always coming forward to the ball carrier to apply that frontal pressure, but they all roll back, and I think they thought that Trav Collier was, after a few bounces, was just going to bomb that, but terrific by him, lower the eyes to Taberner hitting up, and then just some loose checking again allowed Crowden just to get free inside 50, and nice neat finish. They finally capitalised on all those inside 50s they have had and got a score on the board. It's always the case, isn't it? You have a heap and you can't get enough scores on the board, you go down there one other time and put one through. Good reward. Need to keep it going now.
Brett Deledio alongside Nathan Burke on Grandstand AFL. Nice high bounce in the middle of the ground. Darcy knocks it down for the Dockers. Sarong paddles, picks up a hand pass to Bewley on the logo. Defensive hand pass to Mundy. Takes on Jones. Jones grabs on. Hand pass to Darcy. Awkward right foot kick towards half forward. Worked out nicely. Sarong marks 70 from goal. He kicks to Collier at the top of the 50. So Collier, too far out to score. Sits it up towards full forward. Out they come. Tracy there. It gets to the back and Webster under pressure from Henry and Taberner lurking too. Saw it through for a minor score. The margin is 4 points to the Saints and we've played 14 and a half minutes.
Be interesting to get a gauge from Dave down there on the boundary line, just what the wind is doing. Obviously, Freo won the toss and elected to kick this end, and the ball has been down this end a lot, whether the wind's playing a factor in that.
From the kick in, it's gone to the wing. What are you seeing down there at the moment, Flash, in terms of those conditions?
Like that. It always tends to go towards the river end, almost from the western side, and you can really launch down that end, but you get the little pockets here in the forward line which can cause a bit of space.
The Saints have got some space here. Flash as Hill kicks inside the 50. Rising to mark is Sharman, right on cue. 40 metres out, a little bit of push and shove off the footy. Ross involved there. Cooper Sharman's kicked 2 goals in each of his past 3 games. He'll line up here for the Saints' third.
He just moves like he knows what he's doing.
Yeah, he does, doesn't he? Even a great addition.
Yeah, that mark there, he just jumps up. He lands on his feet when he takes the grab. It's just all very composed. Now he'll probably miss.
Originally from Leeton in country, New South Wales, through Baldwin and Woodville, West Torrens into Sandful. He lines up here and steers it home. He's really making an impact in Saints colours, Cooper Sharman. And the Saints are out to an 10-point lead once more. 3 straight 18. Freo 1-2-8. We played 16 minutes in the opening quarter.
You're right, Berkey. He does. He moves very well. And you said, he maybe might miss this one. But every time I've watched him, he's pretty sound, set shot, and pretty reliable so far in his short career. But does move well, catches it at the highest point, and gets in the right spots. You said he doesn't get a heap of the footy, but makes good decisions, and if you continue to catch it inside forward 50, you know you're going to get a score on the board more often than not.
We've had 3 possessions and 3 score involvements so far.
Damaging players, I love those score involvements.
So the Saints with the early start here, with an interesting bouncing method. They're sort of leaning on the side and laying it down off the hip. Reasonably effective. Saints out of the middle. Jones's hand pass along the ground. Long. Turns 24 tomorrow. Couldn't get a handle on it. Hayden Young did. It gave it off to Mundy, to Bewley. Bewley kicks the Dockers to half forward. Henry was playing from behind his opponent. Almost a mark to Claverino down low. He couldn't complete it. And the umpire will ball it up. River looking fairly calm in the background. On the eastern side of the ground over towards Tranmere. Thrown in the air. Knocked down by Hunter. Jones over it. He's tackled immediately by Meek, and then Hayden Young lends a hand. And he's a bullsack, Jones. He was fighting and fighting to try and get the ball out. They locked him up, and we'll have another stoppage on the outer wing.
He went off the ground for 7 or 8 minutes after that very first possession of the game, but he's come back on, which is a good sign, but must be carrying some sort of little injury.
He got the poke in the eye, Berkey, in the middle of the ground from Lloyd Meek. Yep.
It's a big digit going into your eyeball.
Big hands of a country Victorian from Minanira. Off hands at the ruck contest. Sarong kicks to half forward, out to meet it. Tracy bumps off a tackle. Handball back to Sarong, running inside 50, lining them up and missing. Far simpler than the goal that he kicked in such spectacular fashion last week. Couldn't find the finish there. Freo 1-3-9, the Saints 3 straight 18 and a half point opening turn.
Kick in, not effective from the Saints. Crowden comes up with it, looking for his second goal. They're peppering Fremantle, but he's missed 40 metres out under no pressure. He missed on the left-hand side. The margin is 8 points. St Kilda's way. We've played 19 minutes of the first quarter.
Well, 1-4 Freo, 3 goals straight to the Saints. It's not normally that equation for the Saints. It's normally 1-4 to St Kilda, 3 to the other team. So a very unusual start.
Fortunately for Freo, it has been this equation so many times for them this season. The worst conversion team in the league in terms of goals to behinds. Across half-back, Caulfield's got it. Awkward kick floats its way to the hillside. Sharman takes it for the Saints. Handball off to McKenzie. Long left foot kick to half-forward. Membry's getting back there, so too Kent. Kent keeps it in, taps it over the head to Membry. Handball off to the run of Sharman, but he can't quite collect it cleanly, and it's out for a throw-in. Right half-forward in St Kilda's attacking half. The Saints by 8 points nearing time on in the opening term.
Coming up later today, Essendon and Collingwood, those two great rivals. Essendon looking to secure a finals return, and later on to complete round 23 it is Adelaide and North Melbourne at the stoppage. They fight hard for it. Now, if Brayshaw hasn't got Steele around the neck, I'm not sure what's going on. It took a long time for the umpire to pay that. Brayshaw saying that the arm was pushed up by Steele. Free kick St Kilda, attacking side of the outer wing. Steele kicks inside the 50 and Pearce peels off and gets in front of Sharman and takes the defensive mark. Alex Pearce towards centre half back. Brayshaw mark still inside defensive 50. Eyes darting about the place. It's a short kick, didn't quite carry to Young. His kick into the middle was good under pressure. He found Sarong, now off to Walker by hand to Mundy. Dockers coming forward. Mundy inside the 50. It'll hit grass. It is picked up by Taberner. Hand pass to Akers. 45 out, squaring ball. Dockers have got a couple there. Tracy couldn't mark. He was maybe manhandled by Claverino. No free kick. Marshall gets it off to Hill. And the former Hawk and Docker goes to the back flank and Jones.
So Jones kicks up the hillside. Higgins pulls in the mark in front of Young. Is off. Turns and goes. Right foot kick chip to half forward. Membry extends to mark. 65 metres out at right half forward. Looks inside the arc. Pokes it to the pocket. Too wide for the lead of Sharman. Floats out of bounds on the full. Disappointing entry for the Saints. Results in Alex Pearce taking it from the left back pocket for the Dockers. St Kilda by 8 points through 21 minutes of the opening term.
Pearce plays on. Kicks to the hill wing where a lot of the play has been. Marshall got hands to it, then it ricocheted off his shoulder and just sort of popped into his hands again. That was not necessarily by design, but worked out well for the big Saints ruckman. The fans have got the masks on around Bellerive Oval. Kick to half forward. Kent the target. Easy spoil from Ash over the boundary line. A throw in at right half forward for St Kilda. The Saints are leading 3 straight 18 to Fremantle 1-4-10. Fremantle needing to win the game to take a position in the top 8. Essendon could displace them with a win over Collingwood this afternoon. Out of the ruck, Marshall took it, went to kick it, missed it. Underneath Bytel, hand pass to no one in particular. Jones gets it, defensive hand pass Bytel, high up and under. Towards half forward it goes. Bewley couldn't mark. Sarong got it. His hand pass straight to Long of St Kilda. From 60 out, he kicks towards the hot spot. 10 from goal. Sharman in the pack. Punched away towards the boundary line. It'll be thrown in right forward pocket for the Saints.
Not a heap of free-flowing footy at the moment, is it, boys? It's a little bit clunky, a bit scrappy, a lot of throw-ins, missed kicks. Hopefully it's just not conditions. It looks beautiful down there, Al. I won't say anything about that. I got told off that last night from BJ.
Ball thrown back in. Membry takes front spots for the Saints inside the attacking arc. Logue has a go, pushed off it, ends up with Ross. Left foot kick, wobbles it toward goal. Out of bounds on the full. It floats to the left. Seb Ross shakes his head. He can't quite believe what he saw. So a free kick will be taken by Aish. The right back pocket for the Dockers. Saints by 8 points. Aish drives outside the defensive 50. That was too easy for Marshall. Goes up uncontested in the end. Can put the Saints back inside the arc. Oh, he doesn't. It's shanked off the toe. Dribbles its way to Ross, 55 from goal. Darcy's in there to intervene for the Dockers, to Collier, who shows them a clean pair of heels. Handball's back to Brayshaw, who's hemmed in by a couple of Saints. Spins his way past Butler. Now back to Ryan. Thumps it up the broadcast side wing. Couple of Saints there. Claverino among them. Got some contact, no free kick. Now Crouch with it for St Kilda. Sends it inside the defensive arc, and he's found Sinclair.
Sinclair thought about a hand pass to Howard. Didn't give it. Kicked it to him instead as Howard kept on running. He's at defensive 50. Into the middle he comes to Crouch. Crouch, defensive side of the centre square in the corridor. His kick. Claverino had to dive to take it. It was off the outside of the boot. Very nearly came unstuck.
Good to see Oscar Claverino getting a run. He's been on the list for 3-4 seasons now and been in and out, injured early days, but just a good young fella that hopefully will cement a spot.
He was picked 35 back in 2017. They've worked it to Sinclair. Sinclair inside 50 with his kick over the head of Membry. Sharman comes out, can't win it. Bewley's hand pass, too slick for Watson. Watson does manage to get a hold of it. Off to Ryan by hand, to Bewley by hand. Road a bump. Got a hand pass out towards Croden at left half back. He slips over, bounces up. Defensive hand pass, Watson. Broke a Hanbury tackle, which was not an overly strong one. Gave to Pearce, who turned it over to the top of the 50. Kent gives to Jones a balk, a squaring kick. Not quite the mark to steal. Ace gets it for Freo. Works his hand pass on the bounce to Tucker, and he'll kick out of defence.
Almost knocked down by Jones. Spills to Young for the Dockers. Handball to Brayshaw. Looped it up and put Brayshaw under pressure. Now Steele rushes in to try and knock it free out of Aisha's hands. Collier's there again, and again shows his fleet of foot. A couple of players down at half-back. A donk around to Saint. Taberner's got it on the broadcast side wing. Brayshaw's among the collateral damage from some physical play across defensive arc for the Dockers. Taberner just defensive side of the wing. Kicks to half forward. Howard comes across and double fists it out of play. He'll be thrown back in at right half forward for Fremantle.
Brayshaw was given what we termed the hospital handball. It was looped up in the air. He had Ben Long bearing down on him from behind.
I think he enjoys that situation, Ben Long.
He does. Nothing untoward, completely within the rules, but thankfully I think it's just winded there from Brayshaw and nothing bad.
Marshall tapped it down to Steele. He gave to Jones. He's tackled by Switkowski. Hand pass comes out to the boundary. Akers shoved by Tell out of the road and kicks it inside 50 for Freo. Webster takes the mark in the back pocket. The Saints will bring it out. He switches play to the right back pocket and McKenzie. Let's go to David Flash Lithgow on the boundary.
Yeah, going off the ground, Brayshaw just pointing to his ribs, and he's certainly got crunched by Butler just here in front of me, and I think he'll be okay, Berkey. He summed it up well.
Ball coming out of defence for the Saints. Kent towards Wilkie. He's knocked off it by a desperate Bewley. And then there's a high tackle on Bewley, so a free kick to Fremantle, centre of the outer wing.
Poor handball by Kent. He should be able to handball the ball 3 metres to a player running past, not actually hit his feet and turns the ball over on the wing. We've seen far too much of that in this game so far.
Sub last week, Bewley, left foot kick to half forward for the Dockers. Out the back, Sinclair just floated on the breeze, got a little bit more carry than they thought. Sinclair takes an easy chest mark inside the back arc for the Dockers, sends it to the defensive goal square for Webster. St Kilda with the first 2 goals of the game, led by 11 points after Butler kicked the second at the 10-minute mark. No score in this game now for 9 minutes. Steele has it inside the defensive 50. Kicks to Claverino. Claverino to the numbers of the arc now for Crouch. Saints trying to work it out methodically from their defensive half. Crouch chips to find Higgins. Leading disposal winner on the ground for the Saints with 9. He turns it over. Switkowski had a go. Handball to Banfield. He was under pressure. Butler swoops in, shows them his speed across half-back, flares it to the wing. A bouncing ball will sit awkwardly for Marshall, who gathered nicely and turned upfield.
Marshall's kick. There's a strong mark on the wing from Hanbury in front of Walker. Encouraging little moment in a St Kilda jumper for Dan Hanbury. He hasn't pulled one on too much, and then he undoes all of that by kicking it out on the full. And a free kick to Fremantle at right half-back.
It typifies this game a little bit. A good, strong passage of play and then kick it out on the full.
Dockers through Young. Exit out through left half-back. Pearce got front-on contact from Higgins. Free kick. Looks to the middle. Watson stretches to take it one-handed. He's got Ryan further afield, but instead spreads it out wide to the wing. Ponting stands side, the western side. Walker. Chip to Ryan. Seconds tick down. Fremantle might not have time to manufacture a score. Kick goes to Akers. And Akers denied by the siren as he was about to inject inside the attacking 50. Quarter time at Bellreeve Oval in Hobart. St Kilda leading Fremantle 3 straight 18. Straight being the apt description because Fremantle is 1 for 10. 5 scoring shots to 3, but the Saints by 8 points at quarter time. Goals to Butler, Higgins and Sharman for the Saints. Croden's kicked the only goal for the Dockers. If St Kilda wins, Essendon guaranteed to play finals. If Fremantle wins, the Dockers will be in the 8 and it will be Essendon's task to win back that position by defeating Collingwood this afternoon. 0437 774 774 is our SMS number if you want to get in touch. G'day fellas. Berkey, the reason players are regularly confused with the rules is because they get changed way too often, says the Terralgan Tiger. G'day mates, checking in from Columbia, South Carolina via the AFL live stream. Just click on the ABC worm on the stream there and you can get the ABC call. Thanks for the commentary. Looking forward to the final spots being determined as the season winds down. You are appreciated from afar, says Dave. Thank you very much, Dave. Really appreciate you tuning in each week. And Neil in Coburg, talk of a possible Tasmanian final. Which venue is better, Hobart or Launceston? That's a
good question, that one.
Good question.
Yeah, I've played at both. Everyone talks about how nice the grass is at Lonnie, but I like the size of this one because I only played it when I got a bit older, so it was a bit easy for me to get around. So I prefer this one here.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. There's the infrastructure potentially better at Bellreeve. I'll ask David Lithgow what he thinks in just a moment. Quarter time, and it is the Saints by 8 points over the Dockers on Grandstand AFL on ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital.
On Hard Quiz, only the most important facets of human knowledge are put to the test.
Which US rapper's name sounds like a brand of colourful chocolate?
Topics chosen are critical to the evolution of the human race.
The palindrome rotator is what word spelled backwards?
And experts are treated with the utmost respect.
Well, I'm afraid your parachute hasn't opened this time. You are plummeting to earth.
Catch Tom Gleeson with all new episodes of Hard Quiz. Back Wednesday, August 18 on ABC TV and streaming on iView.
The 2021 AFL Premiership season on ABC Radio and on ABC Sport Digital.
Ross, a hand pass away. Sinclair assesses, kicks into the pocket. Membry over his head, Logue at the back. Kilda come up with it. Sharman, little dink kick was dangerous and worked out well. Higgins to the top of the goal square, takes the mark directly in front. Higgins kicks the opening goal of the game. He puts it into the chairman's stand at Bellreeve. Marshall, a hand pass off Hunter, top of the 50, loops a hand pass into the pocket. Butler, a bounce and a banana. No, he goes the left foot snap instead. Take your pick. Right result for the Saints.
Collier. A speedy Docker takes off. A couple of bounces through the centre of the ground. Gets to the centre circles. Kicks low to half forward. Taberner pulls it in. Looks inside the 50. Pokes it to Croden, who's up and marking 45 metres out directly in front for the Dockers. Mitch Croden with 4 goals, 6 on the campaign. Kick on the way here. Absolutely perfect.
The 2021 AFL Premiership season on ABC Radio and on ABC Sport Digital.
Quarter time at Bellreeve Oval in Hobart. Overcast conditions, but a fairly decent day for a game of footy, and St Kilda has made a decent start to it. 3 straight 18 to Fremantle, 1 for 10. The Dockers with everything to play for as they try and find a spot in the top 8. Our experts on Grandstand AFL are Brett Deledio and Nathan Burke to take you through that opening term.
It was a bit of a clunky start, wasn't it, Berkey? No real free-flowing footy. I feel like the Dockers had every chance. They had the 15 inside 50s to 10. They just weren't able to make the most of kicking 1 goal for. Obviously sums that up, but the Saints, they had a heap more of the, well, not a heap more of the footy. They had 15 more touches than what the Dockers did. A lot of players getting plenty of footy around the midfield. They're not being as damaging, not being able to cut through. We've seen some guys use their speed. I talk of Collier. He's been fleet of foot. You've called a couple of times, Joel. Really dancing around. I like what he's been able to do. Jack Higgins is getting up. He's almost playing like a small centre forward, isn't he? He's been that exit kick player from defensive 50, just hitting up to the wings, giving him that option. You'd like to see him probably do a little bit more damage in and around the forward 50, but the ball hasn't got down there as free-flowing to give him those options. Dan Butler, another one who's looking quick at around that forward half. He got that nice goal in that first quarter, but really it's just been about trying to eliminate mistakes, I think. Now the team that can do that the best will be the one that can take control of this game.
A couple of worrying things for me is that St Kilda are getting a lot of the football. They had 109 possessions. And what can tend to happen with St Kilda when they do that is all the players saying, hey, here's a day where I can get a lot of the footy.
Yeah.
And that's their focus, starting to get a lot of the footy. Exactly. And the worry for me is that Fremantle have probably owned the corridor. St Kilda have owned the wing. They took the ball from one end of the ground around the wing a number of times inside forward 50. That's worked for them so far. But Freo are bringing the ball through the corridor. It's a connection between that inside 50 and their forwards at the moment that isn't quite working. If Freo can get that connection working, we saw a couple of the big fellas drop the mark. If they can start hitting that, well then I think they can score pretty heavily at the moment. So even though the Saints are in front, the worrying signs for me are they're getting too much of the footy, which means they're not focusing on tackling. They're giving Freo the corridor too much. And as we've seen, Freo got some big fellas down there, and if Saints struggle against any forwards, it's big tall forwards, because they don't necessarily have the big tall key defenders. So I think look for Freo to exploit that centre corridor.
Now, we had the question from Neil in Coburg around the better venue in Tassie for a final. David Flash Lithgow's objective is qualified to comment here because he's from the north, he's from Scottsdale, but he lives in the South Hobart. Flash, which venue's better, do you reckon?
I still reckon Launceston is, and it's interesting. I think that's what the AFL does as well, with things shaping up as the Swans and the Giants at York Park next weekend.
Yeah, that was certainly the mail I was getting as well. J-Dog on the text is saying there's no way the Dogs should be forced to play in windy Tassie as their record there is atrocious. So I don't think they will be, J-Dog. Second term's underway here and the Saints have taken it forward, but Logue cleans up for Fremantle. Off to Brayshaw, off to Mundy. High kick out of defence from the river end of the ground. He moves it out to the back flank. A bouncing ball. Steele took possession. He's rumbled Switkowski and also Banfield banged into the turf, and Banfield's keen to go on with it. He's trying to unsettle Steele here, get under his skin a little bit. Steele's over the top of him in a sort of a domineering manner, and it will be thrown in the air at right half forward for the Saints.
He'd want to get a bit closer because Steele had 8 possessions in that first quarter.
Hunter reaches across, slaps it down. Free kick in the contest and the wing here. Going to go the way of the Dockers. Tracy will take it. Big fella from the Cunningangas. Played most of his footy in the purple, green and white Central Murray Footy League. Finished the season on top. Would have played finals this in the coming weeks. Unfortunately, due to the lockdown, most footy in country Victoria has been cancelled. The Saints come off half-back. Long kick down the wing toward Kent. It's slapped out of play by a couple of Dockers just forward of the wing for St Kilda, who kicked to the river end in this second term. The ball will be thrown back into play.
Rowan Marshall off the ground at the moment. It looked like he was getting a lower leg re-taped or...
I think he took his boot off, which is worrying, Berkey.
Yeah, because he does have bad feet issues.
Yes, he does. Hanbury from a stoppage gets the ball inside 50 for the Saints. Logue in the left back pocket gives to Ryan. Ryan's little banana. Kent gets in the road. It ricochets off him and over the boundary line. A throw in. Right half forward for St Kilda. The Saints by 8 points. Rowan Marshall's back with a seat on the bench, so he's...
No worries.
Looking pretty good. The body language is positive down there. Thrown back in. Darcy edges out Hunter. Takes possession. Little banana ball out of defence. McKenzie knocked it down to Bytel of the Saints. Back inside 50 it goes. Out comes Sharman. Can't mark. Hayden Young gets it. A hand pass to Walker. By hand to Aish. And Aish will bring the Dockers out of defence with a bounce.
Thinks about a second. Then has a moment's hesitation. Eventually handballs out wide to Tucker, who guides it down the wing for the Dockers. An awkward kick. Webster floats back and marks in an intercepting fashion for the Saints. Just defensive side of the wing on the hillside. Chips forward to Bytel, who's just in front of the wing. Pokes a low pass to the edge of the arc, and Tucker's dropped back in the hole after turning it over initially. Takes the mark to cut it off for the Dockers. Chipped short to Brayshaw.
4 intercept marks to Jimmy Webster already.
Brayshaw defensively to Logue. Logue just wanders out from the defensive goal square, tries to set something up for Fremantle.
Kicks to the broadcast wing. Hill in front, dropped what he should have taken for the Saints. McKenzie by hand to Hill. Casually waltzes around. Now a little bit of a burst and a hand pass along the ground. Steele from right half forward, kicks to full forward. They've got 2 there. Kent's 1. Logue did well back with a flight to spoil. Hand pass comes out to Higgins. He's tackled, dispossessed. Fremantle's defence was strong. Tucker now clears to the back flank. Meek up, couldn't mark. Howard the spoil. Hanbury picks up from 40 out. His left foot snapped towards the teeth of goal. He's over the boundary. And a free kick for Fremantle in the right back pocket.
Dean Kent, how can you drop the ball top of the goal square?
Worry about the big fella coming towards him, wasn't he? Looked like it.
Must be something going around in that goal square, because Lloyd Meek did the same thing in the opening term. Kick comes out from Logue toward Mundy. Couldn't take the mark. It's off hands and a throw in at the junction of the 50 in the boundary at left half forward. Saints into attack. Fremantle playing to keep their season alive. A win for them and an Essendon loss later this afternoon. We'll see the Dockers make the finals. Free kick off the footy here.
Ridiculous.
Steele and Banfield have tangled. Looked like they tripped over each other, Berkey.
He pointed the wrong way. It should have been the Freo player's free kick, because Crouch banged into Banfield, who then took down Steele after he was banged into. And originally the umpire put the arm out the wrong way, and I thought Steele was going to get a free kick, but it was certainly Banfield's free kick.
Banfield chipped short to Mundy. Mundy off right half back for the Dockers. Kicks up the eastern side, and Howard leads the race to the footy. Has it slapped out of his hands. Appeals to the umpire for 50. Nothing coming. Umpire says, Dougal, go back behind the mark and take your kick from true centre wing on the hillside of the grounds.
Howard thumps it as far as he can to about 40 from goal. Sharman hands to it, didn't complete the mark. Higgins Roves gets through traffic, hand pass to Kent. He's caught by Mundy, did well not to let the tackle slip up. Off to Brayshaw. Brayshaw rode a tackle, gave to Meek. He's nailed. Ball dislodged. Higgins gets it. A balk. He gave it off to Steele. Ducked the head, got taken high. Banfield collared him round the back of the head. And it will be a free kick to Steele directly in front, 45 from goal.
I wonder how long it's going to take before the forwards in this game realise that kicking the other way at the moment, the way that Fremantle are kicking, it's balls dropping short. You've got to play in front. And we've seen how many intercept marks, Berkey. It's ridiculous.
Steele for the first score of this second term. It's away to the right, and it won't be a score. Meek should have marked it. He's juggled that on the boundary line, and it's gone over for a throw-in. It was really uncontested there for Big Meek, and that was unfortunately living up to the surname.
A couple of clumsy efforts from the big fella in the opening term. Here he goes at ground level from the throw-in, takes it down low, flicks it up to Aish. Aish handball back to Ryan, who whacks it as far as he can outside the defensive 50. Sinclair got a hand to it for the Saints. Spilt to Collier. Collier to Darcy. Darcy a handball quickly to Taberner, who tries to force it forward. Mundy cuts his way through the traffic. Handball on to Croden. Croden to Brayshaw. Brayshaw retreats by hand back to Taberner. Just defensive side of the broadcast wing. Kicks a low footy up toward half forward. And Howard slaps it away for the Saints to Wilkie, who retreats defensively to Ross inside the back arc for St Kilda. Ross flares it wide, and Ben Long rubs his hands together before he marks on the AFL logo out of sight.
Saints by 8 points. Long inside 50. Sharman rises early on Pearce and pulls in a fine mark. He's 35 from goal to the left of centre.
He was 3 deep in that pack. Lids, I thought he's coming from a long way back, but excellent timing.
He just keeps popping up, doesn't he? Gets to the right spots. Spoke about a guy from Melbourne who's done that all year. Bailey Fritsch just gets into the right spots and had a very good year. Limited opportunities we've seen from Cooper Sharman, but so far so good. I'm liking what I see.
He's playing under Rodney Eade at the Baldwin Tigers not so long ago. His kick towards goal is absolutely perfect as he worked it back from right to left. He'll be playing down at Royal Hobart with a ball shaped like that. 4 straight 24 the Saints. Fremantle 1-4-10, a 14-point lead at the 8-minute mark of the second quarter.
Well, it was a bit of a nothing kick, really, by Bedlong into the Saints forward line. He got the ball in the wing.
He just had enough of it seemed like, didn't he? He's like, oh, let's just get this inside 50.
Yeah, he did. And look, that type of kick inside 50 is not going to result in a mark and a goal very often today, you wouldn't think. So I think they've got lucky there just purely by the outstanding talents of young Cooper Sharman.
They set it up defensively, though, and that's the Freo forwards. I asked for them to get a bit high, but not so high that they've then got no one to kick to, and Dougal Howard's going to spoil Switkowski all day long. They do that. Easy release to Seb Ross and then to Long, and Long kick inside 50.
All back in the middle, bounce down. Darcy has to paddle it out. Sarong, awkward kick to half forward, taken by Croden. Sharp handball over the top. Switkowski faked the man out of his boots, set his sights for home, and kicks a steadier for the Dockers. A little head fake from Sam Switkowski after he gathered inside the forward 50, ran to 35 metres out and made no mistake. And the first goal for Freo since the 13-minute mark of the opening term narrows the gap back to 8 points. The Dockers 2-4, the Saints 4 straight. And we've played 9 minutes in the second term.
David Lithgow is with us on the boundary flash. I wouldn't have thought there'd be too many Fremantle fans in Hobart, but certainly through the effects microphone and looking around the ground, there seem to be a few there today.
Well, that's perhaps a little bit of mayonnaise, Al, but looking through, there's not many here in general, to be frank, and it's one of those grounds, there's not many here and you can make a little bit of noise, you can probably hear from anywhere. So there's a sprinkling of Saints supporters in the Boone stand, a few in the Ponting stand, a couple on the hill, but no, pretty meekly attended overall.
Okay. Sounding impressive there after that goal. Out of the middle of the ground, Sarong. Hand pass away to Walker. Walker kicks to half forward for the Dockers, but straight to Steele. His hand pass misses Jones, and Croden gets it for the Dockers. Off to Tucker. By hand, Banfield got an awkward bounce. He does pick up top of the 50, but under mass pressure. Hand pass goes towards Marshall. He's caught, dragged down by little Croden. Threw that out. Soccer from Crouch ends up with Brayshaw of Freo. Freo to full forward with that kick from Brayshaw. Taberner couldn't mark it. Switkowski had it lost at Webster, gives to Sinclair for the Saints. Off to Steele now, who got it from Caulfield. The hand pass to Sinclair's a sloppy one. This really is poor stuff. Sinclair gets it to Jones. Can Jones hit a target? Bounces off half back. Gives a hand pass to Bytel. A hand pass to Crouch. Crouch hand passes to Sinclair. And he bounces along the wing. Long hand pass towards Kent. 60 out. Thumping kick. Kent with the breeze. Long one. Straight one. Bounces on the goal line. Goes through. Well, from absolutely ugly play on the back half, it's a beautiful finish from Kent, that it really is. Making a silk purse from a sow's ear, that passage of play. 5 straight 30 St Kilda. Fremantle 2-4-16 through 12 minutes, and that was a nice little bit of mayonnaise on the end there from Dean Kent.
It was a nice finish. I always like seeing goals on the run from outside 50. I used to enjoy a couple of those myself back in the day, Al. Don't think I could make the distance anymore, but there's that man again who we spoke about, Jack Sinclair, his ability to run and create off half-back. Could have found a target probably himself, but just continued to run, drew the opponent in, easy handball over the top to Dean Kent, and I thought he might have been passing it off to the boys in this square, but just on that breeze, just carried. You always say, no, always shooting when they go through like that. No worries at all. Had the distance covered.
5 goals coming out of the back half in this game so far. The Saints, all of their score in chains from the defensive half of the ground, so transitioning the footy nicely. See if they can get something going from the stoppage in the centre. Hill and Hanbury combine. Hanbury chips to half forward, bounced awkwardly for Marshall, good enough to collect, feeds the handball back to Crouch. Crouch inside the 50 for the Saints, big pack, up they go. Logue in front of it all.
Against Higgins.
Paid a free kick.
Higgins was using the old hands on the shoulders from 6 deep.
Trying to climb the ladder and come over the top.
Little man's got to know his limitations occasionally.
Hayden Young it is who's got the free kick inside defensive 50 for the Dockers. Sends them out toward the hillside. Wilkie's there to knock it down. Sarong takes possession, tackled by the opposite, number 3 in Jones, and a ball up on the attacking point of the centre square for St Kilda.
You never went for any hangers, Berkey?
I was in mark the air about 3-4 times.
Yeah, holding up the
Underneath
it.
A 14-point lead to St Kilda. Stoppage at half-back for Freo. Darcy got it down to Aish. Gave to Sarong, gave to Mundy. It was too low for him, but Mundy did well to pick it up. Under pressure, got tackled by Hanbury, worked it out towards Tucker. He's bumped off it by Marshall. Collier goes through, lends a hand. Paddles once and twice to his own advantage. Crouch gets in the road, though. Gives to Higgins. He's caught by Young. Ripped the ball away. Crouch is now caught by Young. Well, the other way round. A ball up 70 metres out from the Fremantle defensive 50, or 20 metres out from the Freo defensive 50, 70 from the Saints goal from the stoppage. Aish towards the boundary line. Mundy just places it over really in the end. Planted that down and we'll have a boundary throwing out aside.
Conversion to come for Dave Mundy, running in the try. So 14-point lead to the Saints. Marshall and Darcy tussle. Darcy took front spot decisively down toward Aish. Couldn't get a clean gather. Young slips a tackle. Handball to Aish off right half back. Kicks the Dockers up the hillside. A wobbly ball. Taberner couldn't collect. Collier scooted in. He can't take it with him either. It's Tracy, in fact, who had the first go for the Dockers. Collier's caught over the footy and Caulfield wins maybe his third or fourth holding the ball free kick of the game. He has been busy. Former first-round pick of the Saints. Stands with the footy just defensive side of the wing as he gallops off. Sends his right foot kick inside the 50. Pearce is over the top to knock it down. Marshall was there. Walker's taken a hit among the pack for the Dockers. Marshall collected the ricochet, threw it on the boot. Floats it into the corridor. Free kick against Banfield. It'll go to Steele of St Kilda.
I don't know about that free kick.
No, I'm not sure I agree with it either, Berkey.
No.
He made the contact.
Exactly right.
Sarong and Long having a little bit to say to each other off the footy as well. Neither of those two take a backward step in a hurry.
It was Jack Steele backing backwards and Banfield was in front of him, and then Jack Steele went forward. He pushed Banfield in the chest to keep going backwards. It wasn't a front-on contact by the defender at all.
So the Saints skipper from 45 metres out starts it right and can't kick goal number 50 of his AFL career. Minor score, the first of the day for the Saints. Their lead is 15 points. We've played 15 minutes in this second term.
I think that football has hit Walker where he didn't want to be hit, and that is the reason for his discomfort at the moment.
Big Rowan Marshall handballed it straight into that area.
Very delicately put out.
Watson kicks out of defence. Bewley received it from Tucker to Taberner, by hand to Sarong, by hand to Ryan. From left half back, he kicks the Dockers around the Ponting stand wing. Akers in front, knocked away. Great front and centre row from Henry. Henry kicks back towards the corridor. Half volley pick up. Was clean initially from Tucker, then he dropped it, then he got it again. Kicks beautifully to Meek. Meek back to the flight marks, 52 metres from goal. Open forward line. Meek assesses, kicks in the Croton direction. Hill stands in front, knocked down by Akers. Sinclair gets it for the Saints. A hand pass to Hanbury, off to McKenzie, and a short pass to the last line and Caulfield. Caulfield now to Jones, and the Saints should come out through left half back. Jones is in the left back pocket. He holds it up for the moment. Should have really been able to manufacture a score there, Fremantle.
Oh, he's in trouble. He tried to work his way around Tracy. Just got the handball away in the tackle. Got it to Wilkie, out to McKenzie at left half back for the Saints, just inside the boundary.
That forward line for Freo just doesn't look dangerous at the moment, does it? There's no one really that's going to take this game by the scruff of the neck and really kick a few.
Been their problem for so much of the season. The Dockers just trying to generate a winning score. Saints turn it over on the wing. Watson's involved. Logue, handball to Sarong, back to Logue on the AFL logo out of side. Pearce tries to bustle his way through. Got the handball away to Mundy. Now to Brayshaw, now to Walker through the centre of the ground. Low kick inside the 50 to the chest of Liam Henry. 40 metres out directly in front. Henry will go back and try and bring it back to a 9-point game.
Well, that sort of time and space, you saw all their good mids involved. Sarong, Brayshaw, Mundy, all had a little taste of that one. Got it out. Nice, easy kick, wasn't it? You got that sort of time and space, albeit we haven't seen a lot of it to start this game, that's for sure.
So Liam Henry Plenty of talent that this young man possesses. What can he do from the set shot? Absolutely beautiful off the boot. Has it got the carry? No. Tracy kept it in. Now Taberner fights for the footy in the pocket. It's been thumped out toward about 20 metres out from goal. And back into the wind. Henry couldn't make the journey. Have a throw in the right forward pocket for the Dockers.
5-1-31 St Kilda, Fremantle 2-4-16. And we've played 18 minutes of the second quarter. There's a free kick in the ruck contest. Marshall's given it away and he's a little incredulous with that decision as he was holding on to Meek. The umpire paid the free kick to Meek 30 metres from goal. He's to the right of centre. Kicks are holding up into the breeze at that end of the ground, to the northern end. But he shouldn't have an issue making the distance, and Fremantle could use a major here.
The slight finger caught in the neck of the jumper, which stretched the jumper.
So Lloyd Meek, for his second goal of the season, he starts at left, it stays there. And it will be a behind of the Dockers, their fifth. 2-5-17, Fremantle with a lot to play for, but yet to really play to the standard required. St Kilda 5-1-31, 7 minutes remaining in the second.
Long kick out for the Saints, marked by Young for the Dockers, just in front of the AFL logo between the wing and half forward. Young drives it back inside the arc for Freo. Taverner has a run at it. Claverino, nice mark in the pack. Judged it well, 2 hands out above his head, pulls it in. He sends the Saints back outside the defensive 50. Sharman's in from the side. The youngsters are showing plenty for the Saints. This man, we've already liked what we've seen from him so far. He's really growing in the hearts and minds of St Kilda fans. He's got it defensive side of the wing, sends it up to right half forward. Over the head, taken by Higgins. Handball back now to Hanbury. Hanbury a handball to Membry at right half forward, 2 kicks from home. Gets on the left boot, sends it to a dangerous position. Logue's out to knock it down. Jones took it at ground level for St Kilda. Collier's there, he can't take it cleanly. Has a second go, tackled by Pytel. Umpire says I'll have a ball up 30 metres out directly in front of the St Kilda goal.
Yeah, Saints supporters would love that. Claverino contested mark at one end. Cooper Sharman taking contested mark on the wing. Good signs for the future.
Saints by 14 points. Meek taps it down. Hayden Young with a strong tackle on Higgins. Locked him up. The ball up 30 metres from goal. Umpire readies himself to throw it in the air. Sharman in ruck against Meek, won the tap down. Kent fights for it, farms out a hand pass, missed Hanbury. Croden goes in, wins it for the Dockers on defensive 50. His hand pass out wide. Bewley can't get a handle on it. Butler's little dinky kick off the outside of the boot was clever to Hanbury, who gave it back to Butler, who volleyed it forward. He's playing a completely different game. Meek gets a hold of it, then he's tackled and dragged down by Pytel. They fell the Giants, and they're rewarded for it. Holding the ball, St Kilda free kick 45 metres from goal.
I wasn't sure whether Butts forgot that he's not playing soccer anymore. He's a very good junior soccer player, but just get it forward in any way, shape or form. A great tackle by Pytel on Big Meek. It takes some getting down, some of those big blokes. You only got to get around their legs, though, don't you, Berkey? Them down, they fall like a big old tree.
Yeah, big bodies, tiny, weeny little hearts.
Crikey, Berkey. Round 23 and the number 23 looking to extend St Kilda's lead. Beautiful kick from Pytel. Right through the middle it goes, and the Saints take the biggest lead of the game, 20 points at the 21.5 minute mark of the second quarter. 6-1-37 to 2-5-17. If only we were, not that I'm not enjoying your company, Brett Deledio, but if a Stewie Lowe or a Spider Everett was sitting there right now, Nathan Burke could have a bit of a contest on his hands.
They wouldn't know how to work the doorknob to get in here. Jack Pytel, he's in the team basically at the expense of Luke Dunstan.
Yeah.
So I reckon it's been the two of them.
Have you seen his progress?
Pytel, he hasn't had a really good run at it. He's only played the 16 games in his career. He's been a sub for quite a few games, that sort of
I feel like he just needs
last
to be backed in, don't you think?
Exactly.
Just
So-
let him have a run at it in the midfield and see what he's got to offer.
So I reckon today it might have been that, okay, for the future, mate, we're going to chuck you in. I think Luke Dunstan has been, he's got the raw end of the deal with that, but at least I think there's a reason behind it by putting Vitale in.
It was his first AFL goal by Vitale, and here he is caught out of the middle by Brayshaw. So from a glorious moment to a moment of blushes.
Didn't last long.
We gave him a chance, didn't we?
At least we got it in there before he got caught holding the ball. Brayshaw takes it for the Dockers across half back. They trail by 20 points. Oh, he nursed it to the wing. Coming over the top, Webster got the sick on Switkowski as the ball sat up into the breeze and Jimmy's off. He whacks the Saints inside the 50. Membry read it nicely. Arms outstretched above his head. He'll go back and have a set shot. This would really ram home St Kilda's advantage.
Well, we spoke about Jimmy Webster earlier, didn't we, Berkey, and his ability to intercept. That's his sixth for the afternoon already. Going very well off half-back. You usually see bigger players, don't you, centre-half-back types, the ones that catch it. And this all at sea, reading that ball off the boot at the moment. All of these players.
He's been in good goal-kicking form. 8 goals in his past 3 weeks. Tim Membry, 45-degree angle, 40 metres out. Pulls that one left, minus score. Saints lead is 21 points. They played 24 in the second term.
Joel, what's the most intercept possession marks that a player has taken?
11 intercept marks. Tom Stewart did it earlier this year, I reckon, Berkey.
11? Well, Jimmy's up to 6. It's not even half-time yet. So...
Are they all marks? Are they all marks? He's intercept possessions. That's
I know there's 5 intercept marks.
Yeah.
Got to check on the other one.
Dockers didn't clear it from the kick-in. There was congestion and a stoppage. Comes the way of Ryan from that stoppage. He kicks towards the broadcast wing. Switkowski tackles Wilkie, rolls him and will have a ball up centre wing. Ross and Tracy in a push and a shove. Thrown in the air near the AFL logo in front of the Ponting stand near the benches. Tapped down by Hunter of St Kilda. Hanbury gets it, gives to Crouch. They're coming again, the Saints. The kick in the Higgins direction. Good defensive spoil. Ryan took his space, got in front and punched it over the boundary. 35 metres from the St Kilda goal at the river end of the ground. St Kilda 6-2-38, Fremantle 2-5-17. We've got a couple of minutes still until half-time. We're at the 25-minute mark of this second quarter.
Final Sunday of the home and away season. Saints doing the business early at Bellreeve. Thrown back in. Pearce takes it off the ruck contest. Kicks to the broadcast side wing. Wilkie will try and keep it in. It bounces out in front of him. Thrown back into play. Broadcast side. Callum Wilkie, a very consistent performer since he's joined the Saints from North Adelaide. Oh, boundary throw-in was a long way off the mark. Made the rucks work for it. Hunter palmed it down to Jones. Jones for St Kilda kicks back to half forward. It wobbles its way out. It'll be a throw-in at 55 metres out from the Saints' goal. St Kilda has added 3 goals, 1 in this term. The Dockers just with 1 goal, 1. The Saints lead by 21 points.
Inside 50s, 14-6 in favour of the Saints this quarter.
From that ball in, Brayshaw was taken high by Long. Free kick Fremantle, who could do with a goal before half-time. They will be kicking with the breeze in the third term. It's been lean pickings for the Dockers to date. Only the 2 goals so far, 1 in each quarter. Brayshaw kicks to fullback and Watson. Watson to Logue now near defensive 50 out of side. Griffin Logue plays on, sees something he likes on the hill wing. And that's spectators. Kicked it out of bounds on the full. Goodness me. McKenzie with the free kick.
The Freo look like a team who might make the 8.
Not at the moment, Berkey.
They don't deserve the way they're playing at the moment.
Melbourne didn't look like a team that was going to win the minor premiership late in the third quarter last night. Richmond didn't look like a team that could manufacture a draw, but maybe I'm clutching at straws. Out of defence, the Dockers bring it. Young finds Collier at right half-back for Freo.
The positive is that they're playing pretty poorly and they're only 21 points down. We've seen that is not an insurmountable lead, especially against St Kilda as well, who can be scored against very heavily.
Collier to Bewley. Bewley kicks a long ball up the wing. Meek goes up, couldn't pull it in. Got the rise, handball to Mundy. Mundy tried to loop the handball infield. It was knocked away, taken by Sinclair for the Saints. Sinclair to Steele, to Webster, shoots the handball inside the defensive 50 to Hill. It comes back to Caulfield now, who has to put the afterburners on, almost run down by Switkowski, pressured as he kicked, and it floats into the lap of Tabata, who's 52 from home for the Dockers. And into this breeze, you'd think he's too far out.
50.
And he's going to get 50, so he won't be. Brett Ratton looks on in frustration from the coach's box. And Matt Tapner is going to be waltzed to the goal line. And that is a very important goal for the Dockers nearing half-time. All Tabata has to do is poke it through, which is exactly what he does. He gets the Dockers third and narrows the gap back to 15 points, closing in on half-time. 3-5-23 Freo. St Kilda 6-2-38. They claw back some late ground here, the Dockers. We've played 28 and a half minutes in this second term on Grandstand AFL.
It was a great chase by Switkowski, wasn't it? He just applied just enough pressure to put Caulfield off his kick. He probably could have got rid of it a little bit earlier than that, but he missed his chance. Probably didn't like what he saw up the field. Obviously set up really well behind the footy, the Dockers, which was good for them. But see, what was the free kick for? The 54, was it?
I've seen it 3 times and I can't tell what it is at the moment.
Crouch, not stand still. Did someone give some feedback back to the umpires?
It would just look like Higgins or Crouch was running into the mark where the umpire said stand a step before he's actually stopped. Who knows, but it's a ridiculous rule.
Now, Sean Darcy's been off for a while. We might get David Lithgow to see if he can give us an update on that. But Meek coming out of the ruck, looking like a rover. He took possession, then turned it over. He kicked it straight to Caulfield of St Kilda. There's a Docker down off the ball in some discomfort as it comes to Hill, and Hill now to Crouch, defensive side of the broadcast wing. Switkowski's got maybe a hit pointer, Berkey.
Yeah, he looked like he, in that tackle, maybe just sort of tweaked the back a little bit. And,
Saints
it's gone down.
Breaking forward, Jones from the wing, kicks into the forward pocket. Kent there, Ryan the spoil, Long almost went through, but couldn't take the ball with him. Watson gathered, tackled near the boundary line. Pearce lends a hand, locks it in for the Dockers, who from this territorial position just a need to see half-time. Now Switkowski's going to be helped from the field here. He can put no weight at all on his left leg.
He caught a knock and he just collapsed there because he looked in pain after that tackle, didn't he? So
I reckon he just collapsed a little bit, which sort of goes to show that it might be a back injury of some sort, that lower back hip injury.
He was hobbling around after the goal and now he just went down off the footy almost.
He's just coming off the field with seconds to go in this quarter. Thrown in inside 50 for the Saints. Could they find a late goal? Kent works it forward, steals there. Banfield caught one in the back, surely. It's inconsequential. That is half-time. St Kilda by 15 points, 6-2-38 to the Dockers, 3-5-23. There's a fairly friendly push and shove at the end of that quarter, which dissipates pretty quickly. So for the Saints, 2 goals to Cooper Sharman, singles to Butler, Higgins, Bytel and Kent. And for the Dockers, goals to Croden, Taberner and Switkowski. The Dockers needing to win to get into the top 8, and then they would need Essendon to be beaten by Collingwood to stay there. Interesting scenes at ground level. David Lithgow is watching on. What can you see, Flash?
Yeah, Alberti, you were right straight away. He copped one right in the lower part of the left back and went straight, put his hand straight to that part. He's wincing down in pain just to my right here at the moment. I've actually now just got him sitting up on a stool, his head down, and they're talking to him. It's a little bit hard to see. They've certainly got their hands around that hip and left leg area, so it's certainly very nasty. He looks very sore. I'll keep an eye on it, guys. Half time here.
Good on you. Thanks, Flash. So St Kilda 6-2-38, Fremantle 3-5-23. And Sean Darcy, I'm not sure whether it's a leg injury for him, but he spent a considerable amount of time off the ground in that quarter as well.
I reckon, because looking at the replay, there was no actual bump knock. So he sort of fell on that left hip, and so whether it's more like a dislocated hip type injury that makes him look really sore. He's very, very sore.
Yeah, he looks stiff. Yeah, he's not in a good way, and be very surprising if he returned to the field in the second half. Fremantle will be kicking with the breeze in the third term. They trail by 15 points as it stands at the moment. On 0437 774 774, you can get in touch with us in the grandstand commentary position. My suggestion that there were a number of Fremantle fans was not necessarily endorsed by David Lithgow, but one of the listeners says they could be Bulldogs fans hoping the Freo wins. We need all the luck we can get, says the Bulldogs fan, who clearly thinks that they're going to be a better opponent in the first week of the finals than the Bombers would be. Chris is asking that question. Hi guys, if you were the Bulldogs, would you rather play the Dockers or the Bombers next week?
I think the Dockers you'd rather if you're a Bulldogs, considering the Bombers knocked them off just recently.
Yep. And Dizzy and Paul are listening from Northam. Come on, Saints, dock those Dockers, they say. Tony in Warrnambool. Hi, gents. I've enjoying the call in this beautifully sunny weather from here in Warrnambool while I'm washing the Humble convertible, says Tony. Go Pies for later today. The Humble convertible, Tony. You're high rolling if that's your Humble vehicle. And Paul says, is it just me or are they letting the bouncers go more than ever in the past couple of weeks? Says Paul. I noticed yesterday at the MCG a number of bouncers were not recalled that. Oh, lids.
I get it. I'm a bit of a traditionalist as well, and I like the fact that we still have the bounce, but it just kills the buzz, doesn't it? So many times.
What's your position on not recalling it at all? Like
just
the old
letting
days,
it go.
yeah. If it's the umpire just used to come in,
So
one umpire come
coin.
in, bounce it all round the ground, and if it was an awkward bounce and it favoured one team, well, that's just the luck of the draw.
Yeah,
I reckon. And if it goes out, bring the circle in a metre, and if it goes outside the metre, anyone can jump at it.
Yeah, let anyone go for the ball. Well, I mean, one of the quirks of the game is the shape of the ball.
Yes.
That's a completely different conversation. What about we converse about this match that we've witnessed? St Kilda leading 6-2, 38 to 3-5-23. Coming up later, it's the clash between Essendon and Collingwood. If Essendon wins, they'll play finals. They'll play the Western Bulldogs in week 1. Fremantle wins this and Essendon loses. The Dockers will make the finals.
It's an interesting game, this, if not necessarily a great game to watch. I think Freo are playing well below the standard that they want to play, yet they find themselves 15 points down on the scoreboard, quite amazingly, really. That it was 17-8 inside 50s in favour of the Saints, but they didn't damage the Fremantle side by that dominance of getting the ball inside 50. The Saints had plenty of the football, about 190 possessions so far in this game. So there's a lot of players getting a lot of it. Brad
Ineffective
Hell, 16,
touches, though.
yeah.
They're not doing anything with it.
Steele 16, Crouch 15, Jones 14, Sinclair 12. So all their midfielders are getting a stack of the football, but not a lot is happening from those possessions, and they're not capitalising on the dominance around the ground, hence why they're only 15 points up. I can see Fremantle coming out in this second half, correcting the way that they're moving the ball, taking a few more risks to get the ball through the corridor and get the ball into an open forward line. That's the only way that they're going to be dangerous, if they get the ball into an open forward line and let Henry and these sort of guys work one-on-one against their opponent. Collier down there, he can be lively in the forward line as well.
Yep.
Get the ball inside 50 as quickly as they possibly can. That's when they can score heavily. For the Saints, they just need to be better going inside 50 as well. They've kicked a couple of goals, luckily, by just bombing the ball inside 50. Kent kicked one. I'm not sure whether he was actually aiming for the goals. He kicked one from outside 50. I think he was lobbing into the goal square and the wind carried it through. So they've been a bit lucky with the goals that they've actually kicked. Bytel got one from a good tackle. They haven't really crafted some great forward play to get those goals. So for the Saints, pick up your connection between the defence and the forward line. Good thing is for the Saints, they've kicked 5 goals, taking the ball all the way from defence up into the forward line. You wouldn't think Fremantle will allow that to happen again. So closing down that middle part of the ground to not let them transition the ball from one end to the other will stop the Saints scoring. I can see it being a dour affair. I don't think this one's going to open up. But Freo, if you want to play finals, you're going to have to pull the finger out.
Doesn't look like it, does it, that it's going to open up. I think the skill error is inability just to put the hands out in front of your teammate who's running past. I've seen so many of those either just behind or they're actually hitting the ground, which is then inviting the pressure, which they just can't get any flowing football from both teams, essentially. But, yeah, you spoke about Freo being able to open the game up, going back through the corridor. That's all well and good, but if they can't hit their targets, it becomes null and void, doesn't it, Berkey? So, you know, they're doing well to only be that 15 points down, but, I don't think the Saints, they've had periods where they've looked okay. They haven't really dominated in any scenario. They've tried to get their game up and going, but I think it's just really lacking some polish from for some players to stand on there. Like the best players for Freo have still been Brayshaw and Mundy. Sarong's been good. I've liked Young down back. I think he's taken a couple of nice marks, and we spoke about Webster and his ability to intercept for the Saints. He's had the most on the ground at the moment with 7, so he's doing some nice things. 2 half-backs there, both going well. So, yeah, at the moment, mate, it's not a great spectacle, as you said. It's a hard watch, not high-end skills and free-flowing footy. That's not to say that all games have to be that, but if we can see some ball stay in play, not so much from the boundary umpires, I think that'll make it a lot more enjoyable for us, and a bit of polish would be much more enjoyable.
Brad Hill's had 16 possessions, hasn't had a contested possession yet. Only kicked the ball inside 50 once, so they probably want to fix those 2 stats up. Andy Brayshaw coming back into the team's had 15 possessions, so he's leading the way from David Mundy with 13 and Ryan on 13.
You reckon you sack that Banfield tag? I don't reckon that's working.
No, I think an extra ball getter is what's needed around the middle. That's why I think the
put Tucker in there and take Banfield back to the half-back line and just say, right, let's all go head-to-head and just see what we can make of it.
Yeah, no, you're exactly right, because Steele's had 16. He's had 2 shots for goal. Unlucky not to have 2 goals to his name. He's blown both of them, but 16 and 2 goals, that's not really working. They need to get somebody to get their hands on the footy around that stoppages. So you're right, I think Tucker's the man to come in.
We might see whether Fremantle, knowing what they need to do, just as you say, play some footy, Berkey. You said at the start of the game, they play some attacking football to try and win the game. They know the scenario. They're coming from behind. We've seen that happen multiple times in round 23 already. 6-2-38 St Kilda, Fremantle 3-5-23 at half-time at Belrive Oval in Hobart. Joel in Perth says, with the traditional full-length quarters this season, fans have enjoyed some great finishes. Go Dockers, says Joel on 0437 774 774. Agree with you there, Joel. Max is in Georgetown. G'day, guys. Great calling. Love listening to you. Thanks, Max. Good Toby Nankervis, Brad Green territory, Georgetown, about 50 minutes from Launceston, down the river there. You fellas are the best AFL commentary team on all of radio. I really appreciate the lack of obnoxious commercialisation. Thank you, says Hayden. Thank you, Hayden. Great to have your company today. G'day, lads. Listening to the call on the way to Kellaberrin in the wheat belt of WA to watch the mighty Cats in a second semi-final. Up the Dockers. Hopefully we can continue the run of this round's great comeback. So that's just a little portion of what's coming through. Simon in Hobart making the case around which is better, Belrive or York Park. Player and spectator facilities are definitely better at Belrive Oval than York Park. This includes the stands, refreshment facilities and much better scoreboard video screen at Belrive. The playing surface at York Park is regarded as better though due to Belrive's cricket pitch in the centre square. The forecast temperature today of 18 degrees in Hobart is the same as Perth, says Simon. Thanks for your text. 0437 774 774.
I've got a question on that, Al, before you go. Matty Richardson, good Tassie boy, told me the sun's different down there at Tassie. I said, oh, right, so it's different from Victoria to Tassie, is it, Matt? And he said, well, I promise you, you'll get burnt more down there at Tassie. Ken, have you got some light to shed on that?
I'm with Richo.
Oh, it's a different sun?
The hole in the ozone layer, same sun, but the hole in the ozone layer, I think, is directly over Tasmania.
I love it.
15 minutes for a fair-skinned lad like me in the sun in Tassie lids, and I'm sporting a distinct shade of pink or red. Richo's theory on the goalposts as well. I mean, the height of goalposts he reckons have affected goal kicking. That created a bit of mirth, but I can kind of understand what he's saying in terms of the optical illusion as well.
I'll agree on that sense, but not the different sun. I think there's just one for the whole universe.
There is only one sun, I concur with that, but the ozone layer and the hole in it, unfortunately, everyone polluting on the mainland created a bigger hole over Tasmania.
You miss more goals because the goalposts are taller.
That's what his theory is.
They look narrower.
Yes. The higher they go, the narrower they look. The gap's the same, but it catches the eye is his theory. And I don't know, I reckon there's a bit of merit to that.
Yep.
Anyway. Berkey. And you get the benefit of the doubt from the old goal umpires too. They can't quite make it across.
Berkey just gave me the look as if to say, what in the hell are you talking about? So let's go to someone who does know what they're talking about, and that's those that bring us the ABC News. Half-time at Belrive Oval, 6-2-38 plays 3-5-23. It's the Saints leading the Dockers. Second half coming up.
ABC News with David Rowlands. New South Wales has recorded 830 new locally acquired COVID-19 cases in the 24 hours to 8 o'clock last night, making it the state's worst day. Around 200,000 people were tested, with some delayed results due to a backlog. The Health Minister Brad Hazzard says there are another 3 COVID deaths, including a man who caught the virus at Canterbury Hospital in Sydney southwest.
Very sadly, there were 3 more deaths. There was a gentleman in his 60s who died at Royal Prince Alfred Hospital. There was a gentleman in his 70s who died at St George Hospital. And there was a lady in her 80s who died at Wollongong Hospital.
Meantime, health authorities say bookings for the Pfizer vaccine in Sydney's local government areas of concern has slowed. New South Wales Health Deputy Secretary Suzanne Pearce says there was an initial rush of 200,000 bookings for the 16 to 38-year-old age group. She says there's now room for another 200,000 vaccinations.
On Friday, we sent out over 1 million text messages via our colleagues at Service New South Wales to that community with the booking link embedded in it. We are talking to sporting clubs, community groups, everybody we can think of to encourage people to come out and get vaccinated.
Victoria has recorded 65 new locally acquired COVID-19 cases as the state battles outbreaks across metropolitan Melbourne and Shepparton in the state's north. With more, here's Yvette Gray.
The 65 new local cases include 21 recorded in the regional Victorian town of Shepparton yesterday using rapid PCR testing. The health department says it's still confirming details relating to the number of people who are isolating and links to the active clusters. More than 44,000 test results were received yesterday, and there are now 440 active infections in the state. Regional Victoria has now joined Greater Melbourne in lockdown amid concerns the growing cluster in Shepparton has spread to other areas of the state. There are currently 570 COVID exposure sites listed in Victoria.
19 new cases of COVID-19 have been recorded in the national capital in the past 24 hours, bringing Canberra's total number of active cases to 121. 17 of them are linked and 2 are under investigation. 6 of the new cases were infectious in the community. ACT Chief Minister Andrew Barr says some of the new cases are in Canberra's disability community.
A little into double digits, around 10 to 12. This includes people living with disability and disability support workers.
Queensland has had another COVID-free 24 hours, though. No cases were recorded locally or in hotel quarantine. A new no jab, no entry rule took effect yesterday for essential border zone workers. Deputy Premier Stephen Miles says the overall flow of traffic through checkpoints is also down.
We intercepted 2,715 vehicles. 142 of those were turned away. A new, stricter, harsher border measures with New South Wales are working, and we are seeing a dramatic reduction in the number of vehicles crossing the border.
US citizens hoping to leave Afghanistan have been advised to avoid travelling to Kabul airport unless instructed. As the BBC's Barbara Platt-Usher reports, the State Department wants to avoid large crowds outside the airport for security reasons.
The ongoing chaos outside the Kabul airport is contributing to what a Pentagon spokesman called a fluid and dynamic security situation that could change by the hour. U.S. defense officials told American media they were particularly concerned about the possibility of attacks by Islamic State militants and were looking at alternative routes to get evacuees to the airport. The White House said President Biden had discussed the potential IS threat with his national security team. The Islamic State group has not publicly threatened to carry out attacks in Kabul, but recently it condemned the Taliban as U.S. stooges.
Meantime, former Australian Prime Minister Julia Gillard says the global community must continue to push for the rights of women and girls in Afghanistan. Ms Gillard now chairs the Global Partnership for Education, which has helped to improve access to schools in the country. She says the organisation will do everything it can to protect the progress that's been made. Ms Gillard is also urging governments to evacuate Afghan women who may be threatened because of their leadership roles or support for gender equality. And thousands of people attending an all-star concert in New York's Central Park have had to leave immediately ahead of the approach of Hurricane Henri. Barry Manilow was in the middle of a song when the order came through holding the concert. ABC News.
ABC Sport on Social is your sports conversation on the go. Video, player insight and analysis. This is the content you never knew you needed. Get ABC Sport wherever you scroll.
Arts, politics and culture from a range of Indigenous perspectives. On Speaking Out.
We're seeing a lot of our people, young people, going away. We should be guiding them.
We must have a country to call our own.
A lot of our women were taking their children back into the bush and hiding.
Speaking Out with Larissa Berendt, Sundays at 9 p.m. on ABC Radio.
The 2021 AFL Premiership season on ABC Radio and on ABC Sport Digital.
Long inside, 50. Sharman rises early on Pearce and pulls in a fine mark. He's 35 from goal to the left of centre. His kick towards goal is absolutely perfect as he works it back from right to left.
Darcy has to paddle it out. Sarong, awkward kick to half forward, taken by Croden. Sharp handball over the top. Oh, Switkowski faked the man out of his boots, set his sights for home and kicks a steadier for the Dockers.
Crouch hand passes to Sinclair and he bounces along the wing. Long hand pass towards Kent, 60 out, thumping kick, Kent with the breeze, long one, straight one, bounces on the goal line, goes through.
Hill, it comes back to Caulfield now, who has to put the afterburners on, almost run down by Switkowski, pressured as he kicked, and it floats into the lap of Tabata, who's 52 from home for the Dockers, and into this breeze you'd think he's too far out. 50. And he's going to get 50, so he won't be. All Tabata has to do is poke it through, which is exactly what he does.
The 2021 AFL Premiership season on ABC Radio and on ABC Sport Digital.
Players are back on the field at Bellerive Oval in Hobart for the final term, or the final half of this match, the third term. St Kilda leading 6-2, 38 3-5, 23 over the Dockers. David Lithgow is on the boundary. He's got news. David.
G'day, Al. Yeah, just getting some mail through. It's certainly been floated during the week. We've all heard that perhaps the Swans and the Giants will play in Tassie next weekend. Well, certainly suggestions at the moment the Dogs and the Bombers could do as well. One game would be at either end of the state, I imagine, on the Saturday, Sunday, as far as the scheduling goes. Very sketchy reports at the moment, but it's certainly building a bit of momentum down here in Hobart.
Okay, interesting. Well, the Dogs will get first call on where they play, and on Friday night, certainly Luke Beveridge was saying Adelaide Oval was the preference, provided some conditions were made more appealing around the arrival there, not having to wait for hours in the cricket nets before the game, that type of thing.
That sounds miserable.
Yeah, he didn't want to go down that path as much as he declared that Adelaide would be the preferred venue. I guess the situation is that Port Adelaide is going to be playing at the Adelaide Oval. And then you've got the clash with Melbourne as well to consider where that's going to be played.
I'm tipping Sydney GWS in Tassie.
Yeah. Well, David's suggesting it could be two, Sydney GWS and the Bulldogs, Essendon or Fremantle, depending on what happens here. We're underway in the second half with St Kilda leading the game by 15 points. No immediate takeaway from the middle. Henry, though, gets it for the Dockers. Hand pass away to Aish. Aish kicks inside the attacking 50 to the river end. Tabner comes out, dropped what he should have taken. Wilkie just a little bump. Now gathers, gets rid of it. On the boot out towards the back flank. Flicked over the head by Hanbury. Hill can't get on the end of it. Banfield does. Tackled by Hill. Hand pass out. Kept it in play. Comes to Kent, though, of St Kilda. They work it through their hands to Hill. Hill from left half back. Low kick. Ricochets off long. Meek picks up. That's a long, long pick. And his hand pass was poor. Kent intercepted. Hand pass to Hanbury. Hanbury kicks on the bounce to half forward. Membry trapped it. Kicks inside the 50.
Butler should run onto this in the pocket. Can he manufacture something? Squaring ball on his left boot. Bounces up obligingly. Marshall gives to Higgins. Higgins in the goal square. Left foot snap. Pops it through. And the Saints get the opening goal of the third term, extending the lead to 21 points a minute in. 7-2-44. Plays 3-5-23.
Well, that was the worst transition from the back line to the forward line into the goal square. I think there was about 6 kicks and not one of them hit the target. Long, Hill kicked it into the back of Long, and then I think who else had the footy here? You've got Hanbury, he missed his target, and then Membry picked up, he missed his target, and then Butler picked it up, he missed his target, hit the ground, and the handball missed the target, and then he kicks a goal. So there's 6 missed the targets in a row.
Not sure that's how Rats wrote it up at the start of the game.
No, but the other thing is, if I'm the Freo coaching staff, I'm thinking there were 6 opportunities there for us to get the ball back, and we didn't. And that's the real worrying sign for Fremantle, when the other team can mess it up like that and still get a goal.
Ball back in the middle, Sarong, who's now opposed to Steele, so they have gotten rid of the Banfield tag.
Well, Banfield looks like he's gone to half-forward line onto Hill to play as a defensive half-forward. I'm not sure how that's going to win you the game when you need to get into the finals.
Secondary ball up in the centre. Henry's up to take it for the Dockers. Handballer Sarong tumbles it inside the 50. Collier has skittled them all. He stayed out the back. He snapped on the left. He missed. To the near side of behind for Trav Collier and the Dockers. Margin 20 points. 2 minutes gone in the third term.
This has not reached any heights for Fremantle, despite the urgency around the result and what it means. Webster kicks in for St Kilda to the right back pocket, and Sinclair back to full back. Wilkie dropped it, had time to get it. No real pressure in this game. Sinclair receives a hand pass, kicks out of defence to the back flank, finds Steele. Marks on his chest. Steele kicks to the wing. Higgins the target, Logue the spoil. Picked up by Bewley. He's tackled by Kent. Got a hand pass out to Brayshaw. Defensive hand pass to Mundy. By hand to Ryan. All happening on the wing. Broadcast side. Ryan's kick to half forward. Taberner pushes off Wilkie. Couldn't trap the ball. Sinclair got it for the Saints. Gave to Caulfield. He kicks to centre half back. Jones has got to wait. Brayshaw the spoil. Henry dangerous. Off to Brayshaw by hand. Top of the 50. He's taken high. He tried to bite off a bit more than he could chew, and he was lucky he did get taken high, Brayshaw. He might have been pinged for holding the ball. A free kick at centre half forward.
Terrible tackling. Brayshaw gave him 3 chances to tackle him, and I think it was Big Hunter who ended up going high.
Yeah, it was. Just that left arm. He likes to dance, Brayshaw, doesn't he?
Right on the edge of the arc. Flares it wide. Walker's mark just inside the 50 for the Dockers.
We saw Dean Kent get home from a little bit further out, so he, with the breeze, shouldn't have too much trouble. I haven't seen him have too many shots on goal in his short career, but
hasn't had too many lids, and he hasn't kicked one. He's 2 behinds.
There you go.
10th game for Brandon Walker. What can he do on the breeze from just inside the 50? Right foot kick on the way, never looked like it. Left it to the left. Certainly had the carry. No worries about that at all.
What was he worried about?
Level.
Got it almost into the second tier of the David Boone stand. Minor score, 19 points the margin the way of the Saints.
Webster on the kick-in duties again for St Kilda. Runs his full measure, kicks to the back flank, Ponting stand side. Marshall in front, couldn't take it. Pearce tackled, hand pass to Sarong, back to Logue. It goes to Banfield to Pearce, the defender up the ground, kicked off the outside of his boot cleverly. Bewley not paid, it wasn't 15. His hand pass slapped down. Steele gets it for the Saints. A hand pass to a running Jones. Arches his back, feeds the hand pass to Hill. One over the top towards Kent. Mundy corrals him. Work the hand pass forward to centre half forward. Higgins kicks to an unguarded goal. Membry back with a flight. Takes the mark on his chest. Ryan opposed to him. He's in the goal square. And he can give St Kilda the biggest lead of the game here. Tim Membry from directly in front. Only 10 metres out. Membry puts it through comfortably, and St Kilda looking comfortable at the moment. The Saints 8-2-50, Fremantle 3-7-25. Maybe Essendon won't need to win this afternoon to play finals. What has Fremantle got It's all on the line for them now. We're at the 6-minute mark of the third quarter on Grandstand AFL.
Well, we said at half-time that we couldn't really see the game opening up, but so far the Saints have been able to transition pretty comfortably from half-back, haven't they? Albeit they're doing it without even having to hit their targets. We've seen a couple of handballs there that roll along the ground, set up nicely, but Jack Higgins, he's been that conduit forward, hasn't he? That real connector for him. His ability to get up the ground and then drive the ball back inside 50 for him. He's out for 14 touches now. He's had a nice kick to memory, charging back towards goal.
Well, Saints, since round 17, they're number 2 in the league of getting the ball from defensive half through for a goal. 33 points a game. They're already up to 44 points in this game already.
7 of their 8 coming from defensive half chains. Croden in the middle from the restart. Handball went missing. Steele tracked it down. Crouch had a go. Banfield volleys it out of there. Ricochet or rumbles to centre half forward. It's taken by Caulfield. Kicks the other way for the Saints out toward the wing on the hillside. Kent came up, paddled it to his own advantage. Collected the rolling ball. Off with 2 bounces through half forward. Handball on the bounce to Steele, who waltzes through the 50. A little blind turn pirouette to create some space. Chip to the pocket for Membry. Membry's got it tight in the right forward pocket, maybe 10 in from the boundary and about 40 out.
Well, maybe Jack Steele just didn't feel like he had the journey in his leg there, but Dean Kent, I applaud his want, to bounce, run and carry, but finish your work, man. Hit your targets.
His handballing is atrocious.
It was. He dribbled off his hand, but luckily enough it sat up nicely. Good composure from Jack Steele. I thought he might have set sail, but found Membry in the pocket.
So Tim Membry comes in, tough kick. Can't get back-to-back goals. Leaves it to the right-hand side. Margin 26 the way of the Saints. We've played 7.5 minutes here in the third term on Grandstand AFL.
I'll tell you what, Brett Delidio, you've opened up a can of worms, or maybe opened up an even greater hole in the ozone layer with your comment around the sun in Tassie. We've got texts coming in left, right and centre.
All
I've
positive.
had private texts questioning my theory around the ozone layer, all sorts of things. So 0437 774 774, but our listeners, many of them verifying that it is a harsher sun down in Tasmania, that the UV is greater.
Yep.
High Grandstand team, having spent time living in both Victoria and Tassie and a fair chunk in the Bass Strait and working outdoors, I will back Richo's comments up, the sun being different in Tas. I don't have the scientific explanation, but certainly saw a lot of unexpected sunburn. Kick inside the 50 for the Saints is marked by Marshall, who is 45 metres from goal. He's to the right of centre, kicking into the breeze towards the Church Street end, the chairman stand end of the ground to the north.
I prefer I don't need the scientific explanation, just the layman's terms.
Anecdotal evidence will do.
Yeah. Lived experience. Al, can assure you, mates, the sun in Tas is far more deadly than the mainland. You can get burnt just as badly with the sun behind cloud as clear. Melbourne is nearly as bad, but not quite, says Keza, ex-Melbourne FC number 25. Whether that might be Kerry Rattray, played for the D's back in the day, a Tassie product. As the kick from Marshall goes long, but hits the post on the left-hand side. He was a Penguin product, Kerry Rattray. Anyway, the margin 27 points, St Kilda over Fremantle. We're at the 9-minute mark, and the clearing kick is a poor one. Out of defence, McKenzie intercepts for the Saints.
McKenzie had to go, thought about going, and then was called to go, so he chipped to full forward. Membry up, knocked away from him. Dockers' defence stands strong for the moment at least. Here's Joel Weston, the medical sub, activated in place of Sam Switkowski. Kicks to the wing on the hillside. Banfield crashes through a couple, including Webster. Got the footy, forced it forward. Henry with a gallop across half forward. Takes a bounce, runs his measure, gets to 45, sets sail from home and finishes nicely. Liam Henry shows a bit of dash for the Dockers, and maybe their hopes in this game aren't dashed quite yet. 4-7-31 Freo. The Saints 8-4-52. 10 minutes played, third term on Grandstand AFL. Your experts Nathan Burke and Brett Delidio.
Well, they certainly needed that one, Lids. It was getting beyond them, and they had really strung together any good passages of play for this whole quarter, basically. And well done by the young fella. Picked up the footy, composed himself, ran inside 50. You always knew that his main aim was going to be, I'm going to take it on my shoulders, I'm going to have a shot, and he executed really, really well. So keeps them in touch, but kicking with the wind in this third quarter, they need to bang on a couple of unanswered ones.
Meeks in ruck, And he's opposed to Hunter. Umpire takes his sweet time to lay it down on the firm centre wicket area. Perfect high bounce. Hunter palmed it down for the Saints. Hanbury under pressure from Crowden, couldn't get it. Socked by Crouch, but Crowden emerges from Fremantle. Hand pass off to Aish. Aisha's low kick inside 50. Taberner edges out Wilkie, takes possession, lost it, spills to Akers. Akers from the pocket, squaring ball to the top of the goal square. Darcy had it, lost it. Caulfield pinched it, hand pass to Crouch by hand to Jones. Jones almost caught. He just stood flat-footed, lost his opponent, now kicks out towards the wing on the outer side, and Higgins takes the mark on his chest for the Saints.
Plenty of time there to Zach Jones. Enough time for a stationary bounce, turn around, assess everything, say hi to a few people in the crowd.
He's really played that hitting up high forward role extremely well today, Higgins, because obviously without Max King, Membry would normally play that role, but they've gone with a small and he's done it really well.
15 disposals, 5 marks for Higgins this afternoon. Webster had it in defensive 50 for the Saints after receiving a pass from Higgins. Kick to the wing on the outer side. Pearce crashed the pack. Crowden took it off hands. He got caught. McKenzie almost got caught in turn after taking the advantage for the Saints. Handball to Hanbury. Handball out wide to Higgins. The Saints enter the 50. Bouncing ball in front of Membry. Young the other way, knocked it to his own advantage, was off with a bounce through the back pocket, got it to Watson at half-back for the Dockers, kicks the Hillside, a bouncing ball in front of Banfield, and Hill neither can keep it in, and a throw-in just attacking side of the wing for Freo, who trailed by 21 halfway through this third term.
Well done by Young, man. If he didn't leave his player come out and intercept that ball heading from Membry, that's a sure goal to the Saints.
Boundary throw in, Meek and Hunter contest. Hunter a hand to it, a lot of wrestling going on. Hanbury gets it, uses his right boot to kick to half forward, turned it over. Logue has taken the mark on his chest. Left half back for Freo, who throws his arms in the air to say, someone present for me, give me an option.
Logue's up to 8 intercept possessions now himself.
Long kick to the wing. Here comes Claverino, punches it back St Kilda's way. Membry can't get a handle on it. It goes out of play, attacking side of the outer wing for the Saints, who lead by 21 points.
Thrown back in. Of course, the Dockers need to win to keep any hope of finals alive. Their results contingent on the result this afternoon between Essendon and Collingwood. The second of 3 games this afternoon you'll hear on Grandstand AFL. North Melbourne and Adelaide to close things off the Adelaide Oval this afternoon. McKenzie wins a free kick for the stoppage. Handball off to Jones. Kick went off 12 metres to Aish. He handballed to Crowden, put him under pressure. Got the handball back now, Aish. To Sarong on the AFL logo on the outer side, wrapped up by Long. Ball spilt free. McKenzie there for St Kilda. Handball pinched by Crowden. Jams it back the other way. Floating ball. Attacking it hard there was Howard. Did well, knocked it to his own advantage, brought it to ground, shot the handball to Webster. Webster back in the chain to Caulfield. Caulfield for the Saints in the left back pocket, comes across the face of goal to Wilkie. Wilkie measures the pass and finds Claverino at right half back for St Kilda.
Claverino has 2 free options on the outer wing. Crouch, one of those, takes the mark. He's got a runner going by and he feeds the hand pass. Young Cooper Sharman kicks it inside the 50. He's had some good moments on the ground. Pearce couldn't get a handle on it. Logue picks up, taken over the boundary line. Umpire foot calls for a boundary throw-in, 30 metres out from goal. Saints in attack. It's yet to really start coming for the Dockers. It needs to come soon. 8-4-52 to 4-7-31. St Kilda by 21 points. 14 and a half played of this third term. Knocked down in the ruck by Sharman. Dockers emerge with it. Sarong's left foot kick out of defence. Back with the flight, Claravino. Didn't take it. Tracy did. He's immediately rumbled in the long tackle. And the umpire says holding the ball. Extremely harsh call on Tracy. Long's free kick on the outer wing.
Getting to the stage where the next goal in this game is very important. Either gives the Saints a 27-point advantage or brings it back within 3 kicks for the Dockers. Membry comes crashing out with the footy at half forward. Couldn't take the mark. Got brought to ground fiercely by Watson of Fremantle. Handball rumbles around looking for Young. He gets it to Brayshaw. Brayshaw off half back now as they try and build something here. Bewley kicks the broadcast side wing for Henry, who slides in front of the interchange gates. He cuts it infield. Nice vision. Watson's got it for the Dockers. Sweeps it across the centre square on the diagonal for Aish. Aish pops it inside the 50. Darcy the target. Howard over the back. Gets the arm across. Spoils it out of play. And a throw-in 45 out from the Freo goal in the left forward pocket.
We were a little bit worried about what was wrong with Darcy. He does have that left knee taped heavily. I'm not sure whether he had that at the start of the game.
He did, I think. He wears a cricket pad every week.
But he's spending a fair bit of time at full forward in this quarter.
From the throw-in, Sarong works hard for it, but Hanbury gets it, gives to Crouch. The Saints clear towards the wing. Attacking it hard was Pearce. He shoveled that forward somehow to Akers. Akers throws it on the boot, 60 metres out towards the pocket. Here is Darcy. Punched away from him by Howard in the pocket. Weston gets a hold of it, but he couldn't keep it in play. Took it over the boundary line. A throw-in in front of the Southern stand at Belrive Oval. Left forward pocket for the Dockers. Can they find a goal here?
They need to craft something out of this, the Dockers. This is their season on the line. This next 8 minutes, they need to get back level pegging in the next 8 minutes.
Toss back into play. Hunter takes front spot. Knocked it down. McKenzie gets it, gives to Crouch. Hand pass over his head to Claverino. Tackled by Weston as he gets a clearing kick, and that's gone out of bounds. And it's gone out on the full or caught the line. It's caught the line. A boundary throw in left half forward for the Dockers. St Kilda by 21 points at the 17-minute mark of the third.
The ball will be tossed in where the 50 intersects the boundary. And in front of the scoreboard, Hunter and Akers set themselves. Oh, the throw-in fell a long way short. Jones took it off hands. Low handball to Bytel. Cut it through the traffic. Bytel's kick to the wing, taken by Watson of the Dockers. He handballed back into the mess. Young slams Hanbury into the ground in concert with Pearce. And we'll have a ball up centre wing on the outer side. Saints by 21, 52, plays 31. Played 17 and a half minutes here in this third quarter. Membry's up to meet it. Moving up from half forward for the Saints. Jones on the outer side wing to Crouch. Low pass to McKenzie, who marks and immediately goes. Turns inside the 50 and kicks to fight Sharman. On a nice strong lead again. This is the exact spot Tim Membry missed one from a couple of moments ago. He's 5 in from the boundary, 40 out in the right forward pocket.
Well, anytime I see someone mark and play on in that launch zone, I can hear Big Matty Richardson in the back of my head just saying, love that when young players just take the game on and go. So just movement creates movement. And that was all he wanted, was a bit of a one-out opportunity for the big fella. Loved it. Just get it in on one out. Give me a chance.
All Cooper Sharman needed as well. On approach for a career-high third goal. Tries to work it back right to left, but started it too far right. Another minor score for St Kilda. The margin 23 by 22 points, 18 and a half gone, as we see Big Sean Darcy come to the bench, and he's looking like he's been in the wars this afternoon.
Ryan kicks into Young in the right back pocket. Took a step, told to play on. Long floating hand pass towards defensive 50. Walker comes out, kicks towards the broadcast wing. Tracy comes up to mark for the Dockers. Defensive side of the Ponting stand wing. Looks into the corridor, an aggressive kick and a beauty as well. Opens things up for Ryan. Ryan holds it up for a moment. Open forward line. Ryan kicks inside the 50. Wants a fly from Taberner. He couldn't go. Punch to the back of the pack. Meat tries to slap it back in. Wilkie takes it out next to the right behind post. Forward 50 stoppage for the Dockers.
Great kick by Tracy. That's the sort of play that they need. They can't go around the boundary. They can't overuse the ball. Take a few risks. Kick the ball into the corridor. Now they've got to throw in next to the point post.
Nathan Burke alongside Brett Delidio, your experts on Grandstand AFL this afternoon. Meek slaps it down in ruck. Collier chases it toward the goal line. Howard stands as the last link in the chain for the Saints. It stood strong. Got it to Steele, who kicks out toward the boundary. Did Higgins get a hand on it inside the line? He didn't. Fair to say he doesn't agree with the umpire's call. A couple of spectators do the work to toss the footy back in on the broadcast side. Jack Higgins having a laugh with the umpire after the decision. Ryan takes it for the Dockers. Kicks to right half forward for Sarong. Coming up to disposal number 18, the Rising Star winner of last season and the Glendenning Allen medalist of last week. Kicks inside the forward 50. A presentation from Tracy. Couldn't pull it in. 30 out from the Dockers goal. Jones a fumble and a stumble. Did he get a shove? He did. Got the handball back to Caulfield, who took the advantage for the Saints. Chipped short dangerously for a moment. Found McKenzie in the right back pocket.
McKenzie goes defensively to Steele. Steele switches from the right back pocket to the left back pocket. Howard measures his kick, measures it poorly. Ryan imposes, takes out long, knocked out almost. No, he's just lying on his back, closing his eyes and now bouncing up. He had me sucked in fully there. Taken heavily, now he's up on his feet. Jones has got blood coming from his nose, so he's coming from the ground for the Saints. We're going to have a stoppage at right half forward for Fremantle. Jones looks like he's worn one flush in the middle of a boxing ring there. Was a high shot from Akers, the open hand, and that was what the free kick was for previously.
Ben Long just enjoying that Tassie sun.
Kicking back.
Got
some more information on that on the text too for you, Liz. I know you're very keen to know.
Yep,
Monday at the stoppage, hand pass didn't clear the congestion. And Bytel has it now as tackled. The humidity is lower in Tasmania, which makes it feel hotter, says an unnamed texter. The hole in the ozone layer doesn't extend as far north as Tasmania. Yes, that's the evidence I was presented with earlier as well. It's further south than the mainland and Tasmania, the hole in the ozone layer. The UV factor is usually higher down there. As the Saints come away out of defence, Ross kicks to half forward. Pearce peels off his opponent and takes the mark at right half back. Tassie boy, Ulverston product.
Pearce goes to Walker, to Sarong. I'm going to add more voice to the chorus. The only significant time I've spent in the sun in Tassie was an AFLW game a few years ago where Carlton played North Melbourne in the opening round of a season. I got sunburnt. I reckon I sat next to Flash for a fair portion of that game. I'm not sure how he went, but I certainly copped a bit of the sun. Ryan's got it at right half back for the Dockers. To Pearce. Pearce thinks about playing on and then elects to go. Chips short to Young. Young's been good this afternoon. Disposal number 14 here. Give him a wrap, he'll let you down. Kicks to the wing on the outer side, and it's picked off by Caulfield for the Saints.
Caulfield finds a free man in the middle. Webster's got a laser kick on him. He sends it inside the attacking 50. Up he goes again. Sharman takes a spectacular mark. He's an exciting prospect. He's directly in front, 25 from goal.
This is the value of that mid-season draft as well, which is where the Saints picked up the young fella. If it hadn't been available, he would have just been languishing back in SANFL footy. But gives him another opportunity. And third goal, I think he's kicked 2 goals in every game that he's played. So that's an amazing start for a young fella coming into this league.
Sharman to make it a 28-point lead, approaching three-quarter time. Through it goes. Cooper Sharman, a career-high 3 goals. An impressive start to his AFL journey he's made, and as the shot to the Fremantle coach's box reveals, there's some tension now on the face of Justin Longmuir. This game is getting away, this season is getting away from the Dockers. 9-5-59 plays 4-7-31. A 28-point lead to the Saints at the 24-minute mark of the third.
So if the Saints kick another, 30 goals, are they a chance to sneak in?
I had a texter ask us how many were required for the Saints to go into the 8 if Essendon lost to Collingwood this afternoon. I think it's a completely implausible number, Berkey. We're talking 300 goals or something such as the gap in percentage is 88 for St Kilda coming into the game and 107 for Essendon at this stage of the season. You don't make a 29 percentage point turnaround very easily.
So not very easily, but you're telling me there's a chance.
There's a mathematical chance, but it involves a lot of algorithms that...
Hey, that wind's going to blow in. That Derwent doctor is going to come in and it's going to be blowing a gale.
To give you an idea, Berkey, to make up about 3% to get to the 4% to get to the Eagles at the moment, they'd have to score 61 points from here and have Fremantle not score. So they've got another about 14% to go on top of that to get to Essendon. So it is highly unlikely, to say the least, for the Saints at the moment. The Dockers inside the forward 50. Howard goes in. He's tackled by Tracy. And we'll have a ball up 30 metres out from the Dockers goal.
Appreciate your optimism though, Berkey.
I'm hanging in there. It's not done yet.
Always look on the bright side of life. Ball's tossed up and knocked straight back to ground, where Tracy again dives on top, wraps up Howard. Nearing the goal square for Fremantle, who trail by 28 points. 3 minutes left here in this third term. Marshall fights against Meek in ruck. Tracy's there again. This time Howard tackles Tracy, turns the tables. Same result. Still a ball up. Still deep forward for Freo.
Could throw in another Life of Brian reference with Big Meek in the ruck, but I won't do that. Had a hell of a time of it, the Meek.
Yes, I know where you're going, Berkey. You'll be haggling for beards the way you're going. Sulkowski and Collier inside the attacking 50 with Sulkowski injured and out of the game. Collier going through, ball over the boundary line for a throw in deep in attack. We'll go to Flash Lithgow in just a moment. We'll watch this passage of play. Boundary throw in deep in attack. Marshall takes it out of the ruck for the Saints. He's immediately tackled. Jones tries to rip it free. David Lithgow on the boundary.
Yeah, watching Big Darcy doing some little run-throughs, talk about Ginger. He looks very, very proppy indeed, which is a big concern. Really fascinating to watch the Dockers' body language. I mean, the fact they're playing for a final spot today, just with it just down here in front of me, it's quite remarkable. Very flat indeed.
Maybe consigns there. Fade at this stage, Flash. Steele along the boundary line. Butler can't keep it in front of the interchange gates. It'll be thrown back into play. 28 points to the good of the Saints. 26.5 minutes gone in the third term. Joel Peterson and Al Nicholson calling the action for you on Grandstand AFL. Brett Delidio, Nathan Burke, your experts. Dave Flash Lithgow on the boundary. From the stoppage, Bytel gets a left foot kick forward for the Saints. Ryan tried to pull it in with one hand. Higgins had front spot, took possession. Handball forward. Tracked back by Logue for the Dockers at right half back. Oh, handball under pressure. His man in Tucker was run down. The Saints come up with it. Jones inside the 50, pokes it to Membry. Membry 40 metres out, as good as directly in front, will go back and try and make this a 34-point ball game for St Kilda.
It's good composure there by Jones, wasn't it? There's the tackle by Butler, something that he was probably more known for last year. It was a real staple of his game. He's got getting back to that, probably a little bit too late in the season, but that's what they need. That's what the Saints need for him to bring consistently for them to be a strong side going ahead next year.
So Tim Membry's missed a couple already today from 45 metres out, sends it on its way, and it gets very tough for Fremantle from here. St Kilda 34 points to the good, 28 minutes gone in the third term, and looking like they're going to run out winners to close season 2021 and end the Dockers campaign in that effort. 10-5-65 to Freo 4-7-31, nearing three-quarter time.
It's almost like last week's game against West Coast sapped all of their energy and enthusiasm. It was like, let's get up for this one and we'll beat West Coast, we'll stay in for the finals. We actually harm West Coast chances, and they've got nothing left.
Yeah,
that's what it seems like today.
You talk about prelim finals. Sometimes teams play their grand final in the prelim.
Yeah,
might be a little bit that case for Freo today.
It seems like that because I'm glad Flash has sort of mentioned that on the boundary line, but the way they're actually playing the game looks like they're flat as well. There's not a lot of enthusiasm.
Sarong out of the middle, trying to generate some. Gives to Croden. Croden's kick inside the 50. Up they go in the pack. Akers answer it, no mark. Brayshaw a rove. Road to tackle. Got a hand pass out. Bewley. Brush to tackle. Gave to Brayshaw. Left foot snap towards the teeth of goal. Attempted volley from Taberner. And the follow-up soccer from Collier's gone through here. Now, this will be interesting. They're going to review it. Collier's signalling goal. Taberner tried to volley it like a centre forward in water polo with his back to the goal and his opponent right on his hammer.
Wilkie said it hit him in the head.
Yeah.
He couldn't clear it. And then Collier soccers it. Has it skidded off the head? It has. Noggin. It's gone off the forehead of Wilkie. What a goal save. Completely unintentional. He's headed it into the back of the net. The cross from Collier and the deflection from Wilkie.
It's Sam Kerr-like.
A behind will be the result here. Collier signalled goal, but I'm not sure that the Ark's going to be with him here. Almost need to call this VAR.
But he's glad it skinned his head, not
2 inches
got him flush.
2 inches lower.
He got good purchase there, Trav Collier, didn't he? That would have sent him backwards.
You don't say that it hit you in the head if it didn't hit you in the head.
No, exactly.
You'd normally say, didn't hit my hands, but
just flicked it by the look of it.
Needed to throw the head back, and like the fingers go back on the goal review. Throw the head back to show that it's...
He doesn't have a lot of hair there.
No. This is
what was that
when you needed Dyson Heppel a few years ago to be certain. One of those dreadlocks going back. Now this is going to be signalled behind. It took a while to get there, but that sums up Fremantle's day, really. Nothing has really worked for them. 10-5-65, the Saints. Fremantle 4-8-32 through 31 minutes of the third quarter.
Saints bring it back in and immediately kick it out of bounds on the full. So Ryan gallops away and pumps the Dockers back inside the 50. Reach from Banfield, couldn't pull it in. Tracy's handball in field. Collier might get another crack at it. Paddles it once and twice into the right forward pocket. Stays in momentarily for Kent, who flicks it around his back before he handballs back to the boundary umpire. Ball will be thrown back in right forward pocket, deep forward for Freo. The Dockers have added 1 goal 3 here in this term. The Saints have put on 4 goals 3 to open it up to a 33-point lead. Meek goes in ruck against Marshall. Croden at their feet. Jones the other way for the Saints. Tumbles a kick forward. Was Steele taken high? The out-of-zone umpire said yes. And so Jack Steele inside the defensive 50 has the footy for the Saints.
Coming up for possession number 28.
Goes to the broadcast wing. Marshall the target. It's off his hands over the boundary line near the interchange. So, he copped a chopping of the arms there, said the umpire. So this will be the last possession of the third quarter. Fremantle's going to need to produce a Richmond or Melbourne-like comeback. 10-5-65 St Kilda. Fremantle 4-8-32 at three-quarter time. Bellerive Oval in Hobart. Grandstand AFL. 2 goals each to Sharman. 3 to Sharman, a career high for him. 2 to Membry, 2 to Higgins. And singles to Butler. Bytel kicked his first AFL goal. And Kent has a goal for the Saints. While for Fremantle, it's a very depressing read. Croden a goal, Tabner a goal, Henry a goal, and Switkowski a goal. 0437774774 is the number if you want to get in touch with us in the grandstand commentary position. St Kilda looking to end the season on a positive note. Essendon Collingwood coming up next. It might not be for a finals berth to determine that for the Bombers. The way this is going, they might be in. Final quarter action coming up shortly for you on Grandstand AFL on ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital.
Well, the whole idea of bulldozers coming in and raising these beautiful houses.
In the process of some of her campaigns, she made a lot of enemies.
There's just too much money around.
She would not be intimidated.
Confronting revelations.
Guess what? I have found her.
Kieran McGee closes in on the truth.
I was quite prepared to say no to you.
I wonder what is the bottom of this story. And you wonder and you wonder and you wonder.
Hear Unravel True Crime, Juanita, on the ABC Listen app or wherever you get your podcasts.
The 2021 AFL Premiership season on ABC Radio and on ABC Sport Digital.
Canterbury kicks on the bounce to half forward. Membry trapped it, kicks inside the 50. Butler should run onto this in the pocket. Can he manufacture something? Squaring ball on his left boot, bounces up obligingly. Marshall gives to Higgins. Higgins in the goal square. Left foot snap, pops it through.
Banfield crashes through a couple, including Webster. Got the footy, forced it forward. Henry with a gallop across half forward. Takes a bounce, runs his measure, gets to 45, sets sail from home and finishes nicely.
Caulfield finds a free man in the middle. Webster's got a laser kick on him. He sends it inside the attacking 50. Up he goes again. Sharman takes a spectacular mark. Sharman making a 28-point lead, approaching three-quarter time. Through it goes.
Load for the Dockers at right half-back. Or handball under pressure. His man in Tucker was run down. The Saints come up with it. Jones inside the 50, pokes it to Membry. So Tim Membry's missed a couple already today. From 45 metres out, sends it on its way. And it gets very tough for Fremantle from here.
The 2021 AFL Premiership season on ABC Radio and on ABC Sport Digital.
Can the Dockers yet make this interesting? They're coming from a long way back. 10-5-65 to 4-8-32. The season is on the line for the Dockers. Coming up next, it's Essendon and Collingwood at the MCG. The way this is going, Matt Clinch, it might not necessarily decide whether Essendon plays the finals after all. But as we've seen this round, half an hour in footy can be fascinating. Welcome, Clinchy.
Thank you, Al. Yes, potentially a slightly easier afternoon for Essendon fans. Potentially, if the Saints hang on against Fremantle, meaning their place inside the top 8 could be set regardless of what happens at the MCG. The final match, most likely of their home and away season, the final match in Melbourne to take place in the 2021 season. It is a glorious day at the MCG. While Collingwood are featuring in their final game under caretaker coach Robert Harvey, they'll also celebrate the final match for Chris Main and the 200th game of Jordan Roughhead. The Pies welcome back Jeremy Howe, making 4 changes alongside Randall, Noble and Wilson. Brody Mychek, the Pies' leading goal scorer, to miss. So the Bombers looking to try and build momentum, looking to return to finals for the first time since 2019. We've had a bizarre final round of the home and away season. Could we have one more twist in the chapter, Al? Looking forward to bringing you this one from the MCG alongside Corbin Middlemass, Brendan Goddard and Luke Ball, with Mitch Cleary on the boundary.
We'll be with you soon, Clinchy. Thanks very much to you. Jeff in Cockburn, WA, says, thanks for the great call. And to see my D's, minor premiers, says Jeff. Yes, fantastic. Jeff, great performance last night. 0437774774. Tyrrell in Australian, WA, Freo are really missing Schultz, Chera and Switkowski. Do you think they can turn this game around? It's getting tough for them, that's for sure. And Alistair, whom, in your opinion, is the best Tasmanian player not to have played in the AFL? That's a very good question. There were some beauties back in the day. Barry Strange, Don Gale, father of Michael, and also Brendan Gale. Almost went, but I think clearances were an issue for him. And another one, Cole Moore, was a fine player. But most would say John Leedham, who was a North Hobart former captain and champion player back in the day, and is the vice-captain in the Tasmanian team of the century. So I think John Leedham would probably be the one. Nathan Burke and Brett Deledio. 3/4 time. Any hope for the Dockers? Any?
Hard to see it, Burke. I'll probably share your optimism, but I don't think the Saints can make the finals either. But look, I think there's one bloke who is very pumped with this, and we're throwing to his game, Corbin Middlemass. He's over the moon that the Bombers are going through and not have to worry before this. He was worried about this game last night. So as we watch the Saints go through their breathing ritual, get themselves nice and calm before they go out and start the last quarter. For the Dockers, mate, I can't see it. I think they've been too clunky all day, Berkey. They haven't been able to play with any real freedom or flow. Missed targets. They've tried hard. They've had their key players have played reasonably well. Brayshaw, Sarong, Luke Ryan and Griffin Logue down back. Dave Mundy's been okay, but they fall away pretty quickly after that. But Jack Steele, you wonder whether if they had won more games, would he be a smoky for the Brownlow this year? He has played an outstanding season, hasn't he?
He's been brilliant, no doubt about it, backing up on last year as well, and worked so hard in the off-season to keep his fitness up. Looks like the Saints might end the year on a positive note as we enter the final term. 33 points is the lead. Brayshaw needs to get the first clearance for Fremantle. He throws it on the boot high. Collier at half forward. Long punched it away from him. Sarong at the falls had a good game for the Dockers. Runs around Long near the boundary line. Bouncing ball to half forward. Bytel in the road. Ricochets off him. Brayshaw picks up. Caught by Ross. Tried to break the tackle. Caught holding the ball. Free kick. St Kilda left half back. You can't really blame Brayshaw for trying to do something. Someone's got to do something for the Dockers.
Yeah, you're right. He's been caught with it a couple of times today, but he needs some help. He's one in there actually going for the footy time and time again. He's doing all the hard stuff. He's had 22 possessions, but he's getting tackled by 3 St Kilda players there. Where's the help around him?
Makes it tough. Ross kicked to the wing. It was off hands and out. He had 20 votes last year, Lids. Jack Steele. 12 more than any other Saint. So
they did win a lot more though last year.
Yeah, of course, making the finals last year and going through to the second week of the finals. Saints bring it forward again, and they're doing it at inches at the moment. Kick toward the 50, knocked out of play, and we'll have a throw in at the junction of the 50 in the boundary in front of the scoreboard.
Does he get a few twos maybe? A lot of twos in those ones that he's lost.
Especially early. I mean, he's been pretty prolific. He's had 30 plus in 6 of his last 7 and 10 overall times so far this year. So he's had plenty of the footy on plenty of occasions. From the throw in, it messes around again. They can't clear the congestion at the moment either side, and again we'll have a throw in still on the outer side at left half forward for the Saints.
The problem is that the ones that they've lost, few of them have been quite heavy losses.
Stinkers, haven't they? Yeah.
So yeah, you wouldn't expect any St Kilda player to get a vote in those ones.
Marshall wins the tap down for the Saints at half-back. Aish gets it for Fremantle off to Walker. Walker likes to run and carry. Has a bounce through defensive 50. Still going. He's caught. Just got boots a ball into the middle. Collier takes possession. He's near the centre circle. He chips to half forward. It's taken for Freo by Taberner. He moves it inside the attacking 50. Darcy's got it. No, dropped what he should have taken. Long was the much smaller opponent in all of that. Now Long belts it about 35 metres along the ground into the middle and opens up play for Butler. A bounce, another bounce, runs to centre half forward. Bananas inside 50. Sharman's got a look at number 4. He drives it through from 20 metres out. And this youngster might be putting a smile on the face of Saints fans who've had little to grin about in 2021. 4 goals for Sharman. That is certainly game over. 11-5-71 to 4-8-32. We've played just a couple of minutes of this last term.
Well, it's been the story of the day, hasn't it? Simple skill errors. Big Darcy should have swallowed that. It was a nice little chipping ball into him inside forward 50. What about Long's big clearing fist along the ground? Good luck catching Dan Butler when he's got 5 yards. Summed it up really well. Knew that he had Sharman on his outside. Just continued to run in. Probably could have gone with just a basic drop punt, but always with a little bit of flair. Young Butts on the outside, little punana. A nice walk-in goal for Sharman. 4 goals for him now. He had a really good day.
50 points coming from direct defensive to offensive change by the Saints.
Goal in every quarter for Sharman as well. He's making an impression. Mundy from the stoppage. Just got the handball away in the tackle from Steele as he slipped over. Steele has a go in the middle. Handball to Ross. Ross handball forward to Marshall for the Saints. And now to Kent, who's gone from long range already today. And he doubles up here. From outside the arc, Dean Kent drives it through. And the Saints are really starting to party now. 45 points the gap. And it is being extended at a rapid rate. 12-5-77 St Kilda, 4-8-32 the Dockers, 4 gone final term.
Well, you're playing for a spot in the finals, Fremantle, and you're currently 45 points down the start of the last quarter. There's something drastically wrong when you're putting out this sort of effort when you are playing for a spot in the finals. It just bewilders me that these sort of things can happen.
Yeah, they had their hands on it, didn't they? And a chance to clear that ball coming out. As we see Bradley Hill taking off his strapping for the day, so he's done.
So that'll be the end of Brad Hill's season. Played every game this year. 4 Saints to do so. Meek out of the middle, took possession after the ball hit the ground. He was tackled immediately by Marshall, and the ball has not cleared the centre circles.
1 inside 50 the difference in the game. 39 the Saints, 38 the Dockers. The Saints have had 19 shots. The Dockers 11, going at 49% St Kilda.
Marshall gets a clearing ball, goes through the hands of Aish. Butler comes to meet it. Walker tackles him, holds him a long time in the tackle. Umpire calls for another ball up, still in the middle of Bellreeve Oval.
Well, we know there's a few teams that are out there looking for key forwards. Gold Coast Suns footy manager told us last night that's what they're looking for, and I think absolutely Fremantle need to find a couple.
Canterbury underneath the pack gave it out to Crouch, off to Ross. Ross's fortuitous kick has landed in the arms of Butler in 50 metres as he held out the ball and Walker knocked it out of his hands. Matthew Boyd and Justin Longmuir collectively put their hands to their face and looked down in utter dismay.
It's just the young ball and the old ball, pretty much. You stand right in front of them, you go to shape your handball. It's just too much of an irresistible target to knock that ball away. But Dan Butler, smart play, gets himself a far easier shot for goal from 20 metres out.
He's kicked one, he's directly in front to the Boone stand end of the ground, the river end. To make the margin over 50 points, he works it through. So the opportunity Fremantle has failed to take and is now being severely punished. 13-5-83 to 4-8-32 through 6.5 minutes of this final quarter.
Goals are coming thick and fast. I'm not without a chance.
Oh, still a chance.
Still a chance.
It's hard to excuse that sort of error, isn't it? Where you just got to know those rules that you can't be doing that. But smart by Dan Butler, just hung it out there. I think ultimately he's just trying to get him to move after he's been told to stand, so you can still buy a 50 anyway. But if he's going to knock it out of your hands, then absolutely you get that 50. You are right, Berkey. They are with a small chance, but I think they'd have to really fall asleep here, the Dockers, which they almost look a little bit like they have.
Well, they started this game 1% behind the Dockers. This will put them up ahead of the Dockers, so jumping from 12th to 10th position on the ladder.
Yep, they're still 2.1% behind West Coast. They need another 38 points and the Dockers not to score. The Dockers might score coming out of the middle here. Croden kicks inside the 50. Wilkie up, knocks it down for the Saints. Spills at the feet of Henry and Akers, who was there. Henry has one go, a second, a third. Spills to Brayshaw outside the forward 50. Henry in the centre square now, caught by Steele. Got the handball away. They just have to retreat, the Dockers, furiously giving up ground. Mundy goes back inside the forward 50. Claverino in a wrestle. Meek got hands to it, got the handball free. Banfield 30 out for the Dockers. Taverner left it behind. Paddles it back to Akers. Off a step, curls it around, looking toward goal. But an easy intercept mark for Dougal Howard on the last line for the Saints.
Howard chips across the goal mouth down at the Church Street end. A long out to half, back out of side. Kent takes a juggling mark, plays on, runs away. From Walker, kicks to Steele. Steele marks centre of the wing. Fizz has gone out of this. There's not a lot of pressure on. Hand pass comes to Membry. Bullets one inside the 50. Hunter back with a flight. Almost took a one-hander. Socked through by Marshall. Top of the goal square. Marshall pokes it through, and St Kilda putting the sword to the Dockers now. There's going to be a review here to see whether Alex Pearce got a hand on this, but I'd suspect Marshall has got that through untouched. And that will be a 14th goal for the Saints, their 4th in this final term. It'll be 4 straight in the last quarter to nothing. And it will be confirmed in a moment that St Kilda is 14-5, 89, and Fremantle having fallen so short of what was hoped for today, 4-8-32. We're at the 9-minute mark of the final term as the review is about to be confirmed, and the goal on the big screen at Bellerive. A 57-point lead to the Saints, Nathan Burke and Brett Delidio.
I'm not sure why that took so long, Burkey.
It was fairly obvious.
But you're right, you called it, Al, that there's absolutely slim to no pressure out there at the moment. It's really just about getting through these last 15 minutes of play and not carrying an injury. I would have thought it looks like, from my point of view, for the Dockers players. Right, let's get this done. Get on that plane, get back home, and lick our wounds, learn from it, and start the pre-season hopefully fresh. But at the moment, Berkey, it's not pretty viewing if you're a Dockers supporter.
No, well, the Dockers asked to play this game in Tasmania so they wouldn't have to quarantine when they went back to Perth. I'd be happy to quarantine and hide my head for 2 weeks if I went back to Perth after this performance.
Simon from Highton on the text says, looking likely the Bombers are in the finals, and the icing on the cake being Carlton, Collingwood, Hawthorn and Richmond are not. Just perfect, says Simon. 0437 774 774.
Saints out of the middle. Vital jams it on the boot, gets it forward. Sharman came up with the footy, but Logue outpoints him and takes the mark for the Dockers. Kicks to the broadcast side. Akers up over Hanbury, controlled it down to the ground. Handball to Mundy on the wing, cuts it infield, looking for Darcy. Howard had him for pace, knocked the footy down. Croden steps through 3 tackles and then dribbles one to the edge of the 50. A really sharp pickup on the half volley there from Weston. Flares it across the attacking arc, and bursting the other way is Burns, the injury sub for the Saints, who's been activated in place of Hill. He got it to Kent on the outer side wing. Kent inside the 50. Marshall out the back. Watson got a hand in. Just slipped it past Rowan Marshall, and it goes out for a throw in left forward pocket. Saints into attack.
But again, that transition from defensive 50 to forward 50, it's just lightning fast. There's just no Freo players around the middle of the ground to try and at least slow it down.
Toss back in, attacking 50 for the Saints. Crouch had it, tackled, gave it straight to Akers. Akers kicks out through defensive 50 to the broadcast wing. Webster back with the flight, takes the intercept mark. Uses it short to Jones. Jones near the front point of the square for the Saints. Inside 50. His kick, accurate, finds Membry. Fremantle have fallen off a cliff. Membry 45 metres out to the right of centre. Has a chance to kick his 3rd goal of the afternoon. He has 33 for the season as it stands at the moment, Tim Membry. So Membry, distance won't be an issue for him. comes in towards the southern end of the ground. From just inside the 50, Membry's kick looks very nice off the boots, and Kilda's finishing in style in season 2021. The Saints have 15 on the board, 15-5-95 to 4-8-32. 5 unanswered goals in this final term to the Saints. And we're 12 minutes into it. 3 for Membry.
You're playing a game like this, Berkey, where it didn't really matter what the Dockers doing. You can say pride, I suppose, a little bit, but it's, I mean, you sort of think, well, what am I really working for? We're not winning the game from here. It makes it very hard. You've got to, I suppose, like I said, pride in your own performance. I played in a couple against other teams where it was like that, but...
Yep. And I think the issue for Fremantle is that they had so much to play for, and now it's evident to everybody that it's gone. And that's a bigger fall, rather than just simply losing by 60 points. That's a fall in itself. But when you've got so much to play for and then you're 60 points behind, well, it's going to be tough for them this last 14 minutes.
Saints have only cracked the ton twice this season.
All Saints supporters are saying 15-5. Goodness me, where did that come from?
Well, had that been, that game against Sydney going back to round 12, they lost by 9 points, missed a stack of chances. Higgins won 6 that day. Following week, they lost to Adelaide by 6. Yep, the Cats game as well. They've had opportunities as much as they've been hammered at times.
Steele at centre-half forward for the Saints, kicks them to the pocket through the hands of Watson out for a throw-in. I mean, you think about that Adelaide game, which they never should have lost.
No.
They were in a commanding position in that one. Yeah, the misses against St Kilda.
Even recent games against Port Adelaide, where they were well and truly in the game.
13 points, 8 points to West Coast the following week.
Last week they kicked the first 5 against the Cats, albeit against Geelong, a very good side, but you get a foothold in the game to that extent, maybe need to make more of it. The Dockers in the back pocket here. Watson got it through the traffic. Brayshaw tumbles it outside the 50 through the hands of Hunter for the Saints, collected by Jones. Handball back to Claverino, back to Caulfield, and he retreats all the way back in the chain and finds Wilkie defensive half for St Kilda.
Mark in Adelaide was asking on the text, how many games has Callum Wilkie played? This is 63rd, Mark. Kick goes inside the attacking 50, still searching for that evasive first AFL goal. Saw Colin Jasny got one a few weeks ago finally. He'd played over 100 games to get one. Fremantle have worked the ball out of defence. Western short pass finds Taberner, who has not had much of an influence. He's been well held by Wilkie. Taberner kicks to half forward. Sarong inside 50. Henry went one-handed casually, didn't take it, did gather it at ground level, got tackled, making zero effort to get it out. That should be holding the ball. Huge leniency shown there from the umpire. A ball up 35 metres from the Dockers' goal.
Impressive thing about Wilkie is he's never missed a game since coming into the Saints side, so all 63 on the bounce. All of them in his first year, all 19 last year, and the 21 so far this year, plus today. Henry pokes the Dockers inside the 50. That bounced awkwardly for Darcy. Sat up and hit him on the shoulder. The Saints come away with it. Membry bangs it down the line over the head of Sharman, and Ryan, the reigning best and fairest for Freo and All-Australian of last year, takes the intercept mark, comes to Sarong. Now to Croden inside the inner of the centre circles. Loops the handball over the top to Hayden Young. One of the bright spots for the Dockers this afternoon. Handball out wide to Bewley at left half forward. Now to Akers. Akers chips it inside the forward 50, and Joel Weston's got it. He's 10 in from the boundary, 46 from home. Hasn't kicked an AFL goal. Backs off his line and is called to go. Sends this one long to the goal square. Saints have numbers to come across and kill it through as Hunter thumps it through for a rushed score. Freo's first score of the final term comes 16 minutes in, and they trail by 62 points.
John on 0437774774 says, I think the Bulldogs fans would have preferred a Dockers win. Essendon on recent form could easily send them packing with no second chance. Thanks, John, for your thoughts. Sarong from the kick-in. Got it for Fremantle. Gave to Akers. Akers hoists high back inside 50. Tracy rises. Can't mark. Collier Rove. Kick smothered by Wilkie, who's been absolutely miserly back there for the Saints. It's in under a pack and will be balled up 30 metres from the Fremantle goal at the northern end. Up it goes. Hunter and Darcy wrestle. Darcy the tap down, Jones the rove. A tumble punt out of defence will be intercepted. Oh, Watson dropped the chest mark. Marshall picks up. Watson tackles him, drags him down. Ball spills free towards the boundary. Aish over it. He's tackled by Membry. Knocked out the side. Watson gets it again. Gave him tight to Meek. He's looked very uncertain all day. And here he is, caught with the ball by Marshall. Very indecisive, Meek, when he gets hold of the ball. And Marshall has the free kick near the interchange.
Marshall goes back to Caulfield. Stands at the top of the right half back at the top of the arc and chips defensively to Howard, to Sinclair, back to Caulfield, who runs through centre half back. Flares it wide. Nice kick as well. Weighted it nicely for Burns, who judged it well. Kicks inside the 50 to the pocket. Set Hunter a task. Goes to ground. Slaps it back into play. Sharman collects. Handball to Kent. Kent centering ball. Looking for Bytel through the hands of Banfield inside defensive 50 for the Dockers. Croden has a go. So too Sarong. Banfield another crack at it. He's brought down in a good tackle. And we'll have a ball up at centre half forward for St Kilda, up by 62 points halfway through this final term.
Goes at centre half forward for St Kilda. Mundy roves it. Hand pass to Sarong, off to Henry. His kick out wide. Bounce evaded Banfield. Then he probably copped one in the back from Caulfield. No free kick. Slipped the way of Sarong. Hand pass to Meek, and Meek kicks to Bewley. Bewley just the attacking side of the centre circles for the Dockers. Out wide to Akers in game 100. Off to Young, who's tried hard. He slips over here. Butler catches him, gives to Akers, caught by Jones. Dragged down. Umpire with a decision to make. Beautiful work from Jones. The Winds are holding the ball on the right half-back flank for the Saints, who lead 15-5-95 to Fremantle 4-9-33.
Fremantle have been outstanding at just turning nothing into less. Like they've had the ball on the wing, and then suddenly it's one-on-one, and they get tackled, and they get caught, and they lose the ball. They're not even losing the ball through turnovers.
Hesitation and just the inability to make a decision. Saints on the wing here. Embry pokes it forward. Finds Sharman just in front of the wing for St Kilda, out on the hillside. Chips it forward again. Crouch has got it. Former Crow. Comes in field to Sinclair. 62 points the Saints lead. Of course, still draft picks on offer. And positioning and jostling in the draft order on the line this afternoon. Sinclair kicks inside the forward 50. Higgins at ground level for the Saints. Watson there. Higgins comes up with it. Got it out to Kent. Throws it on the left boot. Tries to get a goal. But Ryan in the back pocket for the Dockers to Aish. His handball slapped out of play. And it'll be thrown in left forward pocket in the Saints attacking 50.
That's the only good thing for Fremantle, is that the Saints will go ahead of them on the ladder, and they will get an earlier draft pick than what the Saints get. So, light at the end of the tunnel.
Boundary throw in the forward pocket for St Kilda. Hunter and Meek. Hunter pulled Meek out of the way. Young gets it. He's tackled immediately by Kent. And also on the other side by Steele. The ball up 25 metres from the St Kilda goal. Thrown in the air. Hunter tapped it down to Steele. Hand pass on the outside towards the boundary. Butler playing for the free kick. Never took possession of it. Tapped it forward. Walker's got it. He's tackled by Ross near the boundary line. And another stoppage. On the text, Kerry in Belgrave says, are the interstate leagues still playing? And if so, is this an advantage to Port and Brisbane?
The Magpies are right on the bubble in the SANFL. They beat South Adelaide yesterday by 13 points, I think. They're a half a game outside the 4 in the SANFL.
So the Victorian teams have been having to play the New South Wales teams, those teams in the greater VFL, still called the VFL with the Eastern Seaboard League. They've been playing scratch matches against one another, but the competition moving straight to finals. The WAFL still going on, the SANFL as well. Crouch off the pack, gives it off. Caulfield kicks inside the 50 for the Saints. Through the hands of Sharman it goes, and towards the boundary. Ryan keeps it in for Fremantle. Sells the dummy on Kent. And pass to Walker. And Walker kicks to the back flank. Weston takes the mark. Do you think that's an advantage for Port Adelaide, still having regular football, conventional football to play. Mundy kicks inside the attacking 50. Freo might generate a score. Taberner marks 30 from goal.
Well, it's a lot better than having a 14v14 or a 16v16. It's much more game-like. It allows their boys that are still striving to get a game, push up, keep the pressure on those guys that are in the senior team. But yeah, I suppose it isn't it. It's a small advantage, but they've got to maintain their age as well and continue to play to stay in the hunt, I suppose, to keep playing in the SANFL.
Taberner's kicked multiple goals in most of his games, 12 of 15 this season to make it 13 from 16. He's missed on the right-hand side, so Matt Taberner with 1 goal, 1 for the day. Still, Fremantle goalless in the final term. They've scored just 2 behinds. The Saints have kicked 5 goals and lead by 61 points.
I know the Western Bulldogs, I think they played Sydney in a 16v16
yes,
yesterday.
Steph Martin got through, from all reports, very well.
Because they can't bring in top-up players from the VFL because they haven't been following the strict COVID conditions of the AFL players.
Wilkie got it to Burns for the Saints. Burns drove it to the wing. Young took it off the pack for the Dockers. Kicked inside the 50. Play onto advantage. Chip toward goal by Brayshaw. Won't quite get there. It's out to the left. And a minor score for the Dockers makes it a 10-goal ball game. 4-11 to 15-5. Let's go boundary side with Dave Lithgow.
Sean Darcy's had a wonderful year, guys, hasn't he? Played 21 games, 18 touches a game, 30 hit-outs, but he's moving like a 3-legged deer at the moment out here, chasing that ball. Then he was going at half-rat pace his best. I'd be surprised if he's out there much longer. He's just stayed at full forward all quarter.
Nice picture creation there from you. Flash, half-back flank. Bytel's got it.
I'm sure the big fella doesn't like the 4-hour plane ride back to Perth either. How long's the plane ride from Tassie, Al? Is it direct or they got to go through Melbourne?
Go through Melbourne, I would imagine.
No, it is direct these days. You can fly direct Perth to Tassie.
Really?
Yep. It's about the only place you can fly from Perth at the moment, I think.
There you go. So the ball's gone out of play in the attacking 50 for St Kilda.
A 5-hour flight. The big fella who looks very, very sore. I don't envy him the rest of the day.
Give him an aisle, Berkey. Just, when everyone jumps on those international flights and tries to nab an aisle, lie down. Thrown back into play. St Kilda in attack. Taken out of the ruck by Marshall. Magnificent ruck work, and he bags one for himself as he snaps it through from 30 out. The Saints have cracked the ton appropriately down at the Boone stand end of the ground. 16-5, 101 to 4-11-35. 24-minute mark final term on Grandstand AFL.
Well, Big Meek's just learning his craft, isn't he? But you just can't afford to give up those sort of easy shots on goal. The forward 50 stoppage for the Saints, but he's been okay all day, Big Marshall, and he's had a great year. We know how much better they are when they've got both Marshall and Ryder playing a much better side. The prospect, they call him down there, Berkey, is that right?
Yep.
That's his nickname?
Yep. Yes. Well, with it's great duo with Paddy Ryder. They've put a contract in front of Big Paddy. Hasn't signed it yet. Still weighing things up. He's getting on a bit, but for the future of the football club, or recent future anyway, really need Paddy Ryder out there playing because he's been outstanding.
In terms of the variety of the competition, it is good to have a club going with the traditional 2-ruck setup too. They present a different look as Mundy kicks the Dockers inside the 50. Here's Bailey Banfield picking it up. A tidy snap around the corner. A really good finish from Bailey Banfield to kick the Dockers' first goal since the 10-minute mark of the third term. They pinch one back straight away after Marshall goals at the other ends. Ball off hands and Banfield scooped it up and curled it home on the left. 5-11-41 Fremantle. St Kilda 16-5, 101 through 26 minutes of the final term.
Well, I liken that to my golf game, Al, which isn't very good, but getting a par for me, probably a birdie for you on the 18th. That brings me back the next week. And for next year for Bailey Banfield, you hold on to that. You're like, remember that? How good was that left foot snap that I kicked in the last?
They are looking for little moments, aren't they?
Well, that's it. And I think he is out of contract too, Bailey Banfield. So maybe take that to the negotiating table lids, putting your manager hat on.
Take that one goal.
Take the footage in.
See how good that left foot goal was. We were down by 11, but
it was something.
It was a nice finish.
Hunter and Meeker in the middle. Meek sort of prowling around at the moment, choosing his angle. Hunter rising early. Meek belts it down firmly. Henry comes to meet it. A hand pass off to Sarong. He's caught, but got a hand pass out. Brayshaw comes to meet it on the bounce in the middle of the ground. A hand pass to Meek. Gave to Crowden. He slipped over, popped back up and used it well to Sarong. Centre half forward for the Dockers. Kicks inside the 50. Henry worked hard to present and took an outstanding mark between a couple of Saints. He ran from the middle of the ground to provide an option and then launched up and clutched it. 30 metres out, 45-degree angle to the right.
Yeah, good strong mark there. He had 3 Saints players bearing down on him, but he did. He stood tall, he took the contact and managed to mark. So probably deserves a goal.
He's kicked 1 this afternoon, Liam Henry, to reduce the margin to under 10 goals. Which has a sort of a psychological element to it. Henry on approach, pushes it hard right. It's a minor score, so 59 points is the St Kilda lead. Josh Kay's been active on Twitter, Statsman. First time it'll be that Essendon and the Bulldogs will meet in the final since 1953, which was the first semi-final, and Ted Whitten's first win in a final, John Coleman's last final. So, nice historical note there from Josh Kay.
Burns has it at half-back for the Saints. Some of the biggest names in the game there, aren't they? Whitten and Coleman. Much history between the two clubs, but hasn't been reinstated in a while. Dockers turn it over on the wing, or force the turnover on the wing. Crowden cuts the kick aggressively infield. Bewley tried to knock it forward. Caulfield got a hand in there to knock it down. Tracy came up with the footy for the Dockers. The opposite 35 in Sinclair took it away. Membry across half-back finds Kent with a low pass that Kent lunges forward for. He marks in front of the interchange gates on the broadcast side. Pokes his pass forward to Marshall, who's been busy in the final term with a couple of goals. Called to play on after he comes off his line. Drives it inside the 50. Sharman one go. Couldn't get the mark. Butler's at their feet. Sharman will go again in the right forward pocket. Handball toward goal. Taken by Ryan of the Dockers, and he can drive them outside the defensive 50.
Goes as far as he can to the back flank. It holds up in the breeze. Brayshaw in front. Couldn't take the mark. Marshall over it. Pulled off it by Akers. Steele got a hand pass out under pressure. Watson for Fremantle at half-back. Disses it to Brayshaw. Off to Sarong by hand. Back to Watson, aided by a Crowden Shepherd. A hand pass to Akers. Akers back to Crowden. He's confronted by Jones. Just got boots of ball. A tumble punt towards the attacking 50. Henry rather casually threw out one hand and just palmed it over the boundary line at left half forward for the Dockers. It's a 59-point lead to the Saints in the closing stages of both these two teams' season.
Be interesting which way Berkey goes with the votes here, whether he can squeeze any Fremantle players in there or not.
What a handball, Brett Deledio. What have you were known for your raking long, a left running kick?
He's gone early, 2 minutes to go.
You handballed him off to me last time we worked together, Berkey, so I just thought I'd return serve.
Yeah, long memory.
Rayshaw's got it for the Dockers after a free kick at left half forward. Drives Freo to full forward. Tracy pulls it in at the top of the square. He'll go back and pop another one through for Freo and pull the margin back to 53. Promising product off the rookie list out of the Bendigo Pioneers. 15th game of the season. Kicked an impressive left foot goal last week in the Derby. And kicks another one here for the Dockers. 13th of the campaign in his rookie season for Josh Tracy. Certainly got something to work with there. And the Dockers closed the gap to 53 points. 6-12-48 to St Kilda. 16-5-101. 30 minutes played in this final term on Grandstand AFL.
Yeah, I agree with you, Joel. I think he's added a bit to their forward line. You know, they can get a little bit more out of Taberner, get Rory Lobb back, playing that ruck forward role. He certainly adds a bit. Doesn't look out of place in their forward line. Attacks the footy really hard. I think, the better the team that they become, the better you'll see from Josh Tracy. But I think he's starting to develop and showing some really good signs this year.
Switkowski on the crutches in the change rooms. We just saw a shot of that. A lower back injury that really hobbled him earlier in the game. Out of the middle. Crouch of St Kilda gives to Jones. Jones a hand pass, releases Bytel, by hand to Steele. Steele kicks inside 50, possession number 34 for him. Off hands, it comes to H. He's confronted, hand pass didn't hit a target. Membry had it, lost it, knocked it out. Ross 30 from goal, defensive hand pass. Bytel gets a look, off a step, goes for home. St Kilda's had quite the sunny afternoon in Hobart. Bytel with his second goal in AFL football, and the margin back out to 59. We're at the 32-minute mark of the last. 17-5, 107 St Kilda to 6-12, 48. 17-5 from the Saints. Where's that been all year? The St Kilda faithful cry. Oh, they've been very good today, and they've done a complete job on the Dockers.
Good finish there by Bytel.
Yeah, it was. It's interesting, Berkey, that we've all been in lockdowns, haven't been able to get to the baler, but Jack Bytel's got the freshest fade out there on the... Obviously, there's a resident barber in there at the Saints that someone's bringing the clippers in.
A few of the footy clubs have got in the new facilities the barber room. I think Carlton have got one in their new facility at Princes Park. Richmond have got one, I think, as well.
They brought the boys in, yeah.
That says a lot.
Wouldn't be partaking, Berkey.
Football club. Goodness me, you don't go to the football club to get a haircut. Get to train to get better. No wonder Richmond and Carlton haven't made the finals.
This was happening in 17, I think, Berkey, in their defence.
Burns at half-back for the Saints to Sinclair, who hasn't been anywhere near a barber in a long time. Marshall took it across half-back for the Saints. It spills to Weston, whose eyes lit up looking for his first AFL goal, tumbled it toward goal. And Howard was back there for St Kilda. He's turned it over, coming back the other way. Henry runs to within 50 of goal. He sends it to the pocket, sliding in Akers. Can't quite take it. On the goal line, he can't get a boot to it. It's rushed through and brings to an end not only the game, but the season of both Fremantle and St Kilda. The Saints, in a powerful display at Bellerive Oval, get the better of the Dockers by 58 points. Leading by 8 points early on. They kicked 3 goals to 2 in the second term. They kicked 4 goals in the third term to break the game open and closed with 6. Their best or equal best term of the final term of the season. It was an impressive effort, and St Kilda close with a victory, their 10th of the campaign.
So the Saints missed the 8, but when you reflect on their season, there were matches that got away and might have put them in a different position had they capitalised upon them. 17-5, 107 to 6-13, 49. Ultimately, Fremantle not quite there yet. They're developing under Justin Longmuir without doubt, but they remain just that little step outside of the finals picture. Might well find themselves in that frame next year inside the top 8. What it means is Essendon will play in the finals, and the Bombers have made an extraordinary surge to do so on the back of exciting football and the emergence of some young players and also existing players who've taken their game to a new level. They play Collingwood this afternoon at the MCG, a match that no longer has a bearing on the finals make-up, but we'll have that next for you on Grandstand AFL. The last game as coach for Robert Harvey in an interim capacity. We wait and see where the Magpies go in terms of the full-time appointment of a senior coach. And a bit to play out still this afternoon as well, with North Melbourne and Adelaide to complete round 23. So the finals are locked in for the first time since 1953. The Western Bulldogs and Essendon will play a final. The venue's still to be determined, but 5th place Western Bulldogs will play Essendon in an elimination final. Sydney will play GWS in the other elimination final, and the qualifying finals, as we know from last night, Melbourne versus Brisbane and Port Adelaide versus Geelong. The goal kickers for St Kilda, funnily enough, all multiple goal kickers. 4 to Cooper Sharman, 1 in each term, a career high for him. He finishes with 10 goals for the season. 3 goals to Membry, 2 goals to Kent, 2 goals to Bytel, his first 2 in AFL football. Higgins kicked 2, Marshall kicked 2 and Butler kicked 2. While for the Dockers, Crowden a goal, Taberner a goal, Henry a goal, Tracy, Switkowski and Banfield Nathan Burke, Brett Delidio, give us a thought or two on Grandstand AFL.
Well, it was a good finish to the season probably for the Saints. You'd be ruining your opportunities, as you spoke about, Al, that they've missed throughout the year. Just didn't really get their game up and going earlier in the year, did they? Their inability to start the way they had finished the year last year. High pressure game, they're getting their small half forwards involved, but I think we spoke about it during the call, being able to have Ryder and Marshall play big periods throughout the whole season. They didn't have that. But we saw some good signs. I think I like the inclusion of Cooper Sharman. I think he's a real find for him. He come in late in the year. We saw Big King. He's shook off those the yips that he had earlier in the year. Started to really clung. I thought that West Coast game was a real standout game for him. Wilkie again at half-back all year. I thought he's been outstanding. Dougal Howard as well when he was playing. Jack Steele's probably the standout streets ahead in terms of winning their best and fairest. So it'll be very interesting to see where they go to at the end of the year. Who do they try to bring in? As for the Dockers, they just need a full list ready to play, don't they, Burke? They need Fife, Walters, Rory Lobb, all these guys there that can really add more to their whole list and their team. They make them such a better team when they've got them all playing together. Cherry's another one, so it'll be interesting to see what happens there with him. So, yeah, it's probably... I thought we were going to get a closer game than that, to be honest.
Yeah, well, you'd think one team is playing for a spot in the 8. You expect them to put up a far better effort than that. But Fremantle got a lot of work to do, and a lot of work to do with their list. They haven't been able to attract a big key forward. They've tried with Hogan. I thought Rory Lobb might be the man, but Rory's a hybrid ruck forward. He's never going to be the man up forward for you. So they need somebody who's going to help Taberner out, because Taberner, again, he's not the key. He's a Membry type of player who can get up the ground, work up the ground, kick the ball inside 50, maybe kick 1 or 2 for you, but they need a far better target up forward. So really disappointing end to Fremantle. Again, the Saints, it was a good finish for them, but a really disappointing season. If Collingwood beat Essendon, it means they miss out on the 8 by percentage, and they've got only themselves to blame. One, by getting flogged by 100 points and 80 points. That kills your percentage. And the other one is losing games that you're in winning positions in. So Saints, I hope they don't look at this season as, boy, we were close, it's a good launching pad for next year. The fact is, you should have been in the finals and you blew it. There's no other way to look at it. You blew an opportunity. Essendon and GWS are sitting in the finals. They should have been your spots if you had have actually played the way or close to your best more often, and they didn't actually do that. So they made finals last year, not this year. It's a failed season.